They're skipping what?
Policy review. Although now since we do them every meeting, it's like, not.
Well, we have a bunch to review that they're reversing because of Title IX and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And that's coming, right?
Right.
Well,
Like next.
No, I need to just put them in. They just
Yeah.
said, take all those ones back to what they were.
Exactly, right.
So,
They're on here already, or we gotta add them.
no, well, I'll try to get them next month.
Next one, okay.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking you're doing it next, yeah. Okay. You're good, right, Jaren?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so at 6:06, I will call the February 19th, 2025 school board meeting to order. Our mission is to provide a supportive and safe learning environment where all students are encouraged and empowered to reach their educational and personal potential. Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I guess we already scratched the one that we're talking, is there anything else different or changed?
Yeah, hold on.
So
7.4, we have a hire to add for, food systems coordinator, half of that position for Kamari Mueller. How did we get there? Trying to make the other half of that offer today, but it didn't happen yet. So, yeah, when we get there, let's talk about how we want to approve. I can't. Let me think through how to
Yeah, you
handle
can talk
that.
about it.
Yeah, because I haven't made the offer,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it's not.
Yeah. Well, we could potentially talk about.
Like
moving-
when to approve it.
Mhm.
That's what I want to talk about
Yeah.
is, but just without any specifics of who it is, like process-wise for approving the other half of it. So.
Okay, public comment.
we have, you commenting too?
No,
I think he's
he's
on.
Zach's on the
Oh,
agenda.
bonafide.
Yes, I think it's in that.
Yes.
Yeah, 4-4, right? Okay.
Simington is requested to.
Okay, I wasn't prepared to go right away, I thought it was at the end.
I mean, there is one at the end too, so if
Oh,
you would
okay.
rather.
If you wanna wait, you don't have to.
No, this works like I just get it out. Okay. So, do I stand up, like,
You can sit if you want, we don't.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
We don't
yeah.
care.
Yeah.
Make yourself comfortable.
okay. So, I'd like to say hi, everyone. Thank you for letting me speak tonight. I'm here tonight to talk about the selection process of our current English language, arts, and literacy curriculum, EL education. The process for selecting and adopting instructional materials shall include opportunities for citizens and parent involvement. A committee is put together, usually made up of teachers and admin. It is common practice that the committee makes the decision with teachers having a bit more input. After conversations with my coworkers on how we came to selecting EL education as our new curriculum, our common practices did not align with what actually happened. I have a copy here for each of you to look at.
Oops, next one.
So this is a copy of the English Language, Arts, and Literacy Adoption List for the ODE website. If you go to page 2, turn to page 2, you will see highlighted our current EL education curriculum for K2. It says does not meet. On the last page highlighted, it shows meets for grades 3-5. Now I'd like you to go back to the K2 highlighted. Go up 2 rows and you will see it says Wonders. This is a curriculum we used a few years back. This curriculum meets K2. It is also the same for 3-5. If you notice, there's an asterisk next to meets. This indicates exemplary program, scoring of 100% on NN metrics as well as greater than 90% on AC metrics.
Can I ask what NN and AC?
That, the wordage for me, I tried to look it up and I was not confident enough to say. It's at the top of this paper. I tried to look it up, but
Yeah, okay.
Under the highlighted area, you will see Savvis Learning Company, which also meets for K-5, K through 5. This curriculum is the last adopted using the district's formal process. My question, actually, first off, I would like to, before I have the ending, I would like to show you guys also some of the books. So this is obviously a fiction book. I don't know if you, how you guys want to do it.
You guys give us your
This
photos.
is from Wonders. And this is nonfiction, and this is from EL Education.
Okay.
Just want you guys to see, like, I
These
use
are both
this,
from
I
Wonders,
use
right?
this daily, yeah. What book would you like to read? Just by the pictures, not the words necessarily, but the pictures. Because most little ones in first grade, kindergarten, that's what draws them to the book, is the pictures.
This just obviously doesn't have the same follow-up like thing at the end, right? Too. You know, like the follow-up, whatever those are called.
The question lesson.
Yeah, like the different thing, like on the Wright Brothers, then they have the butterfly thing, or like.
Right, yeah.
But is that one of the decodables from
That, yeah.
it's a decodable?
Yeah. And in the back of those books, like, it could change, like, the nonfiction could have a fiction story in the back, or it could have a little science project. I made rain sticks today with my kiddos, I would say my A group, how about that? We did that in the back because we read a story, and in the back of it, they were like, hey, we can make a rain stick, because it kind of went with the story, and so we made rain sticks today. So like just little science projects like that. Not all of the time, but sometimes. But there's always a text in the back, so you can compare the text to each other.
I like put a book in front of you, like,
I know.
I'm supposed to just be flipping through, but I wanna read it all.
I
Okay.
did that on a few pages, I'm like, okay, flip through.
So my question and concern is why the district would want to adopt a program that does not meet ODE standards, or making sure we are following district practices when choosing new materials. I would also like to ask the board to evaluate EL education and how it became our current adopted curriculum. And that's all I have.
Just trying to pull this up to tell you guys the answer, and I'm finding a short version without the links, so the question
All those
about
things,
the-
the NA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I'm on here, just to,
It's okay, I mean, I don't think that it's,
I can follow back up and
Yeah.
share that with you
Yeah.
guys, but.
yeah, it's just kind of like curious, because
Yeah.
I know what it is, but also it's okay.
I was curious too. I just couldn't figure like the
Yeah.
Probably the way it was written is a
the
little
word,
difficult.
yeah, the wordage. I was like,
Yeah.
and I kind of ran out of time.
Yeah.
It's funny, this is the one I almost always find, but the second I'm looking for it, I'm getting this like, it calls it the short version or something and doesn't have the links in it.
Oh.
Okay. Well. So do we want to proceed now? Do we want to have a conversation about it, or do we want to go?
I mean, yeah, I mean, because, and that would be obviously like where she's, asking us to evaluate how it was adopted, which is true, because when you look at this, like, why would it have been if it didn't meet? And I don't know if there was a conversation had then, when it was adopted. I mean, because I assume they see, I know you weren't here when it happened, they see this type of information, correct? Or someone does.
Yeah, so this is the one, I mean, I can give a little context and probably further, it's a event just for process, like public comment,
Yeah.
turning it into the board meeting, like, I think we address it some, but then I think we
Yeah.
follow up on a
Yeah.
later one, so it's not, I
Right.
just wanna make sure we're not,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel dismissive or anything.
Oh, no,
but-
no, because
Yeah.
I didn't think that, yeah.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
No, no,
no. Yeah, no.
So we've talked about this curriculum some in terms of updating curriculum. So when the year before I was here was the ELA adoption year. And I don't have the context of Wonders per se.
They
like when
adopted
it was,
Savas.
Yeah, and this one,
Yeah.
and was Wonders the one just before?
Right.
And my guess it was 7 years prior to 2015, 2016, whatever year that is in that time. And so in terms of Wonders and which version is approved, like that was one of the things I was gonna look up in here. Somewhere where it was highlighted said the 2020 version.
It's obviously been updated
Which
or
is,
something.
yeah, similarly, yeah, so, what I don't know is if Wonders was in the caravan, so,
Well, I think like and I don't know, I could be speaking wrong, but maybe if we're just having a brief bit of it now, like, let's say you weren't there, so you don't necessarily know all the process, but if you were doing it now, like, what would the process be? Who sees this?
yeah, and I can even tell you the process for Savas. So, that was the spring before I was here, Jody took a team of teachers to the ESD, and Caravan is like, the list that's approved for each year, the publishers send stuff, and at ESDs, they have all of them, and teams can go in and use materials and look at that. And I was not part of that process, but I walked in the afternoon. So that's how that, like, I was there but not there, if that makes sense. And the team had landed on Savas, has another name too, my something, and
My view letters.
My View, that's what it's called, and that was kind of the takeaway in terms of community and parent input, those kind of things.
Which I never had everybody that I've talked to, they're like, what? And I was like, I
Yeah.
had no idea either.
So
All these years.
that's what I wanna say, like, I don't think that was a traditional part of the process, and
Because you
we
would have
talked
thought it would
about
have been
that.
like in-house and then even EAs could have
Yeah,
gone through them.
yep,
in the
and it
staff.
was like, they came together, I walked in just after lunch, they're like, yeah, we're just gonna go with this one. And there's some materials available, I believe including this, like, because I wasn't part of the process,
Yeah.
there's some rubrics, like, there's links to things. But a lot of what happens is they're opening the books and looking through and talking through what they see. I don't know how much they accessed the pre-work done for these. So that was the year before I was here. My first year here, we used Zapdos. And I think I've shared in board meetings at some point, towards the later part of that year, the feedback from teachers across the board was not excited. So that was like, is that
Yes.
fair? Okay.
Yes.
So it was this moment
Yes.
of, and one of the things that's not enough. No, let me not go there. So, it was this conversation of like, we know we need to increase literacy. We're doing some more testing and then not testing, but assessment on where we're at. We know literacy isn't where we want it to be. I've got like from kinder through 6th, people like, we don't love this, we're not, and not just teachers, but students, I would say from 3rd through 6th, were like, we hate this, there's not real books, there's not, and like, and 5th graders making jokes about publishers, education publishers, which I thought was funny and not necessarily what we want to be using. And so that conversation started with 3rd, I want to say probably Sarah, I don't remember the exact process, but kind of 1 grade level that was most vocal about we hate this, what do we do? And then looking at other, and it was like, well, what else was at the caravan? The problem is that's a year later and those resources aren't at the ESD anymore, right? And so we pulled from some, I was very familiar with EL education as a more of a project-based learning focus, and my biggest thing is they use real books. And so just to name these decodables coming through are one aspect. It's the foundational skills block portion, and they're decodables. With young kids, they can be boring because I didn't look what skill is in that one, I probably should, but.
The skills.
Yeah, so like it's, right, I use this example. If the skill that decodable is working on is short O, you're writing a book with words with all the way through it, and it limits how entertaining that book can be, right? And so it's very, and so that's a practice called decodables versus a book that's about a topic, right? And then in the modules, they're reading real books with complexity. There's the 4 themes, I'm gonna forget at
Are you
first
talking about
grade.
tools, birds, and?
Yeah, tools, birds, weather, stars, or stars and space, something like that, yeah. And there's a 4th one.
Which of those books they cannot read.
So that's some of the conversation, and just to make sure we're all on the same page, like, you guys talked, we talked, we haven't got to talk yet, but we're talking Monday.
Right.
and Beth and I have talked about this, so some of this is just level setting all the different conversations, which is why I don't want to do it all in here.
Right.
But the complexity is a really important part of access to books. So when they're doing the reads, there's multiple reads and revisits and activities in those modules. That's intended for context and language, and they're getting this and introduction of writing, all of those pieces. The foundational skills block piece is really the big 5: phonics, phonemic awareness. Beth's better at naming all those than I am, and it's written towards that. if I recall, and I couldn't find it fast enough here, so I will follow up with this, but if I recall, the part that does not meet in the EL education, we did talk about this as a group at that time when we were looking at, hey, if we're gonna
Something different
change,
than
we need to
Saturday.
change across the board. And this one, I don't wanna misspeak, but I think it's like in the whole, there's phonics, phonemic awareness, and something else, and it's like one piece inside of that doesn't meet, and the rest does. So like, it's not, like, they have to fail it overall for that, but they included it on the list, and if I recall, there's even a note like, hey, we included this here, it does not meet, but it's this really specific piece here. And since then, we had looked at EL Education did a update revision this last summer, and we're using the updated materials that attend to that lack in that piece there. So I'll bring that back and share with everybody and make sure I'm not making up. It's been a long time since I read that, so I'm worried I'm missing details on it, but this isn't a fail across the board, does not meet, but in the process, and that's why they include these links here, so you can see exactly what they meet. And the one, I worked with teachers this summer, we did the literacy retreat with teachers in July, I think, that used the 23 revised version of these materials, and that's been a lift, like, to go from Savas 1 year to the first version of this to the second version of this it's a lot of shifting towards there, but overall EL education has been in place for 2 years. It's that skills block that's using some new materials this year. So anyway, so process wise, and the other thing I'll say curriculum adoption wise, we're like, right, when I worked in 4J, that's a huge adoption. You host different events through the district, people come out. You have curriculum directors, which was my job to run those things. I understand, and often here you have one teacher and EA implementing a curriculum, and so I think, like, I understand why the practice over time was, let's just bring teachers together and pick what they like and put that in place. I've been trying to shift us closer to opportunities for feedback. We're doing a little bit of that with high school science right now, doing some piloting with elementary math. We're piloting at multiple grade levels, and then having conversations about where we go based on those pilots versus just, let's get in a room, pick one from this and go. So we're shifting those processes. It's a big lift to do a full community opportunity with health. We're gonna do that and have instructional materials out, have that in place. Actually, we'll do health and science at the same time for that feedback. But that, yeah, good kudos to saying, like, this is how it's supposed to be. How come it hasn't looked like that in the past? I don't know if Wonders looked like that. I know Savas didn't. And I think Wonders has, the last thing I wanted to say is Wonders has a lot of really good resources in it, and the fact that it's on here, we haven't said, no, throw Wonders away and you can't touch it. It's, but it's not our primary text, so we're using that as supplemental and haven't shut that down. Does that make sense? So where there's good stuff, we want to still lean on good stuff, but that foundational skills block is very intentional about, like, the use of decodables and why they would be using those decodables. Did I hit the big points on that? Is there something?
I mean, I think
I'm happy to answer any
understand,
questions, but.
Yeah, I was just mostly concerned about kind of how it should go and how this actually did go.
And how we
Yeah.
want it to go in the future, because I mean,
Yeah.
I agree that, like, having that input piece is, even though it's a big lift, it's important to have the opportunity for everybody to have a look at it.
Yeah.
And I know that we're planning on doing that with the adoptions we're talking about going
Yeah.
forward.
And what I will say is,
Is it because it was during COVID? This happened right
Oh,
before I
wow.
got on. Is it because it was during COVID?
no, this
No,
was
okay.
20, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe,
that would
I don't
be
wanna
all-
speak to
All of this was
Jody.
happening right before I got on, and because I was part of like hiring you.
Okay.
And, that was like while we were still
What is this?
like barely in, like, there
So it would have
was.
been the spring of 22, so, yeah, I mean, that's why, I don't wanna speak to process that
Past
wasn't
process,
me.
Yeah.
Right.
The parts I know of it were the parts I saw,
Yeah.
walked in and saw.
That's
So the
good.
why and those kind of things, and then 7 years prior to that, and I'm assuming that was on, the 7-year cycle because the caravan was there. So that they're good at
Right.
keeping that, unless that was delayed a year or something, I don't know that. But then, so 7 years prior to 22 would have been 2015, should have been the Wonders adoption. And I couldn't tell you anything about that adoption process, and where that came from, so.
Can I just ask a silly question? What does category 1 and category 2 mean on here, just so that I know what I'm looking at?
Is that the age difference?
I think it's the K2 band
Yeah.
and the 3-5 band. And my guess is,
Yeah,
if you
it's
kept
K-
printing this, there's a 6-8.
K2 on the category 1.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
And
And
then-
that's all I mean.
So primary and
That's weird.
secondary,
They could just put, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's my guess based on.
I mean, I agree, I just think it was something more because they could just put, anyway.
Yeah,
Like,
I'll
they could just put-
I'll pull this up, like I
Mm-hmm.
access this, and, share it in digital version for you guys, so you can click into these links too, and then kind of look through, and then, definitely happy to keep talking about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it seems like, we should continue on the conversation about like making sure that that adoption stuff follows our ideals, like what we want it to be.
Yeah.
And then you all can talk about like what actually like, how implementation and what curriculum we want, how we want to use the curriculum we have, which is not something that we know anything about. Actually, I should speak for myself, I don't know anything about it. But,
I think I found the right link, but it's spinning, so I don't even know, so.
yeah. I'm curious to see that, like, I guess they would publish an updated list of this every year or something? Or does this just go, this
So
just went with
in the
caravan?
7-year cycle, I see, I
Yeah.
think this is the 7 years.
Yeah, because it says through
cycle.
28,
Right,
so they probably don't print a new one until they're ready.
right,
There's just copyright date updates, right, is the only thing that happens.
yeah,
Like
but
the
like, I
DL
wanna
one.
see the update on the, like, that does not mean K2, I wanna see it like updated saying.
Yeah,
True,
You
because
know
like
what I
if
mean?
the
Like,
updated
because they
version
do
does
this
that.
in committee,
Yeah,
yeah, they do this in committee. And so that they have funding for that 7-year cycle, so
Right.
they go, it's a year process, ish,
Yeah.
process, and then they don't touch ELA again.
They moved
for
on to
7
another
more
subject.
years.
Yeah.
Math has happened, science has happened.
Okay.
right, I totally
Yeah, I
makes
agree
sense,
with
it's
you.
just that like, and so it doesn't have to be on this list, but like
Yeah.
some graphic, oh, this does meet now because now
Yeah.
we're using these things,
Yeah.
like.
Yeah,
and
that would definitely be ideal.
Thank you for all this info, Yvette.
Yeah, yeah. So, I guess we, like, maybe this could go somewhere on next agenda, just
Discuss-
touch base.
Yeah,
about it.
discussion.
I agree, just
Talking-
to circle
yeah.
back on it.
For sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
Vibrato, I like the shiny, prettier pictures better. Pages were nicer too.
I'm finding like, when the elementary school, like, we cleaned, there was a ton of book cleaning out and like we ran, and there were a lot of the old, really worn out books and stuff. and they were in the hallway of the Watershed Council. I love those, like, so actually that one thing is like old school looking, like.
Oh, so
I
you like
really
that
love-
one? Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's,
Well, and I
I
think
chose
you-
my age.
I mean, not that I love
Which
it.
one smells like a real book?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was true. That one did smell more like
Which
a
kid
real
used this?
book.
There's a lot of controversy right now between curriculums that are backed by science of reading, which is those other two curriculums versus the phonetic, which is the new one. So
Yes.
that could have been part of the conversation.
So, and
Yeah.
Then I don't know anything, I mean, I'm not a subject matter expert, I don't know
No.
anything, but I've,
Seen
been
that, there is
involved
that.
and like reading on that and listening to that and podcast listening on that. And so, Wonders and Savvis are both science of reading backed curriculums and other
And
ones.
EL is too now, that's
It
the
is.
thing, like, it uses the Scarborough strands, like, there's a lot of science of reading, where they fell short was phonemic awareness, and so that was the thing that got
And it seems
elevated.
like there's
And
like a
that-
balance happening now where it's not either or, there's like they're bringing both pieces,
Yeah.
because it's like language knowledge versus learning to read, and there's so
Yeah.
much happening in that world, so that might have had something to do with why certain things were adopted, because that other one was so phonics heavy, but then the first one was like very much like, this is how it looks in context, and here's the pictures, and here's the lesson, which is really important too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That, I think the biggest thing for EL is like, those are playing out, it's 2 blocks, and so like, looking at foundational skill, like, that's where those science of reading, like, it's not that the other part's not science reading, but those big 5 pieces are there. It's the decoding part of the curriculum. What sounds do those
Yes.
letters make,
Yeah,
right?
that's
That
the
it's
piece.
very
That's
intentional
interesting.
about
Yeah.
that. And then the bigger piece is text complexity, which is a huge piece of strong ELA curriculum. And, yeah, I think this attends to, that's why I want to pull this back up and look through it and see what's there, and hopefully that attends to this conversation. And if it seems to leave some questions unanswered, pull other information together, so.
I think
For the experts.
sometimes for me, what looks good on paper isn't
What's been.
always the best for the children. That's,
Which is hard when you're picking a curriculum out from like a set of curriculum at the SD, because you're like, you haven't worked with
You'll
it,
see
you
it
haven't
in
practiced,
practice
you haven't
and
run
play
it
of
with
like
kids
how
yet.
it's gonna.
and
Yeah.
maybe this curriculum works good for the higher ones,
Mhm.
but this curriculum ultimately is what we should be doing with K through 2.
Right.
Can't we do that? Can we have 2 different, I guess that's a conversation maybe you and I could have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we do that?
And ultimately, it's
Because it's what's best for the kids, right?
assess, and are they learn, right? And so the
Yeah.
assessment scores right, we have focus folders by kid, what's the need, those kind of things, that drives that answer, right? And so I can speak more to last year because I was closer to the data, and that's what I was sharing with these guys, like, Beth does that role right now, we need to sit down and pull that information out, so I'm not making it up. But the year prior, we saw growth for all students in learning to read and decoding. And just to name, I think we were talking the other day about, or scoring those assessments with what feels like a spelling test. It's a like encoding test, but that trails the ability to read. So like if you can read the word hot, spelling it, sounding it out often trails right behind that because, and for some kids it trails like this and you want it to be here as they're learning those sounds, but you're having to take those rules, put them back together, synthesize when you're writing the word versus seeing it, sounding it out is, for most kids, not every kid, but for most kids that comes first. So,
And so you guys are
speaks to that.
chatting soon.
Yeah, Monday, yeah, for various schedule reasons it didn't work and won't work tomorrow, but everybody's back on Monday.
Okay, good. We can get an update next month. Okay.
Thank you, Yvette.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Thanks for bringing all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so, district reports.
Can we put Zach first?
Sure.
Then he doesn't have to wait
you don't have
for,
to
is that,
wait.
sorry, I should have
Yeah, I
said that
mean,
earlier.
Yeah. No,
I'm ready,
fine.
you are. Okay. So I'm just gonna sit down. So, there were some rumblings, I guess, Carrie and Cassie I heard talking about, it'd be cool if we had a athletic hall of fame here in Mapleton. I've always kind of thought that, it feels like the athletic history is kind of in little chunks here and there, and there's not really like I don't know what the word, like a thread that goes all the way through, you know, that kind of tells the story, and I think that would be really cool. You know, and I mean, just for example, like, you know, the first place I would look for, you know, information about sports would be the annuals, and in Jamie's safe, you know, she has, I bet, 80% of the annuals through the years, you know, but the process of doing this one of the cool things for me would be, we would kind of get organized in sports, and for people that care about sports, like, the numbers are important, and the history is important, and I think for the kids, it's important to motivate them to know that, you know, they're not just an island, you know, and there's ripples from what they do, you know, kind of thing. So, Sayusla has a Hall of Fame. You know, a lot of high schools have Hall of Fames. Most schools have athletic Hall of Fames. There are some schools that just have Hall of Fame, so that's, you know, something we could think about. I think the wisest approach would be to start with athletics, and then if somebody wanted to nominate a non-athletic person, we could approach that as they come. But I'm just going to kind of go through here some of the notes. So some of the reasons for having a Hall of Fame: maintaining the rich heritage and tradition of successful athletic programs that we've had through the years, recognizing and honoring individuals who have brought distinction to the school, connecting with the community and alumni to create connections to Mapleton School District. I think it's really cool to think about, like, I'll just throw, like, the 1948 team, for example, was one of the greatest basketball teams ever. Obviously, I don't expect to track down, I mean, Don Davidson was on that team, a few other names that I can't think of off the top of my head, but most of them have passed, but the cool thing is we can track down their families, and I think something that I've observed is the community's, what's the word, you know, we could use some tightening up of community, you know what I mean? And I think this would be a really nice way to, you know, because we all love sports, you know, is my thinking of it. Reestablishing connections that may have been lost with time. A lot of the stuff for getting the Hall of Fame going could be incorporated into our PBL classes. Everything from in media, they could, you know, help get the word out. Construction could help build us displays. Electronics could help us, you know, we talked about maybe some sort of electronic display that, you know, the possibilities are endless. We would also have an opportunity to update the banners in the gym. They kind of drive me crazy because I know there's tons of athletic history pre-2000, and it just kind of is cut off there, and I think that should be fixed. So things to consider if we were going to do this. We'd have to decide who goes in this Hall of Fame. Initially, you know, I talked to Sayusla, and Carrie connected me with a guy whose name I can't recall, who was a coach here, who helped start Hall of Fames at West Lynn and Sisters, I believe, and he kind of gave me some, you know, some guidance on how things typically work, you know. So typically, and this would be a project I would really love, you know, 1937 is the oldest annuals I could track down. So I think that's like a good place to start. And I'll go back to the history of Mapleton sports, 1937, and kind of go year by year and just create like a big list of maybe 40 players and 20 teams. I'm just throwing that out there as the initial, you know, group that we'll look at. Then we'll need a couple. I'll need a couple groups to help me with this. First of all, we'll need a board, kind of a Hall of Fame board. That board will help decide the bylaws, decide you know, what the qualifications are, you know, help schedule events around it. And the board will also, I think most importantly, choose the selection committee. which would be a group of 8 to 12 people, that, Carrie would be on it as the current AD. There would be a chair who's kind of like runs the Hall of Fame. At least one current coach, at least one current school board member, a handful of alumni, maybe even a representative of the current student body, a diverse group of people that know the current and past history of Mapleton sports. Like I said, I'm kind of excited, but because I think initially it's going to take some digging, because I don't want to miss. There's been a lot of cool stuff that's happened through the years, and if we just called out for nominees, we will get the people that are still in the area or people that are on Facebook and stuff like that. So I'll go through, find a ton of people, and then we'll get a group of people to vote from that group. Like I said, the board will have to talk about qualifications. Different Hall of Fames have qualifications, like it has to be 5 years after you graduate before you could be inducted. Some require that your athletic achievements happened at Mapleton, as opposed to Mizu here, who was a national champion in disc golf. I would argue that's Hall of Fame worthy. I'm not just buttering you up here, but I mean, that's an example. If somebody, we don't have baseball here. If some kid went and became a Major League Baseball player after leaving here, there could be a debate that he should be in the Hall of Fame. And then we should talk about, is there things that would disqualify people? We should have standards. Next, a question we would ask: how often would we make inductions? I think the first few years it'd be important that we have a class every year, just to kind of get caught up. We will reach a point where we're caught up, and then we start inducting the people that have recently graduated, and maybe we have a group that looks at old timers and like reviews them or something like that too. But after the first 5 or 10 years, things will slow down. Another thing we have to think about is, will there be a physical Hall of Fame? Carrie mentioned that she's seen that are like electronic Hall of Fames, which are, it's like a website you go to that would have all the people that are inducted. We could have a display in the school somewhere that's like a monitor that plays highlights. I mean, we could build a structure. Mizu had an amazing idea. I didn't know that the bleachers from the gym, the ones from the gym, right? They saved them all when they built the new bleachers, and I mean, something like that would be perfect to use to build a display. I mean,
That's a great idea.
in the construction
Or you can
class.
back down to the art, that's felt better,
All right,
but
right.
whatever you wanna do with them, fine.
Yeah.
We held on to them. We should use them.
No, they're good. I mean, like, they were such a part of, like, me having gone through athletics here, like, those bleachers are so nostalgic. And, like, I don't know when they were put in, but it was lots of generations.
If the bleachers could talk, what stories they could tell. And that's the stories we're gonna tell.
Right.
That's the name of the Hall of Fame.
Bleachers could talk.
Yeah.
If I named it, it would be that very long version, because I'm so long-winded. How could we, another thing we have to think of is how would we would fund this? And I mean, we don't need a ton of money, but we would want to make sure we had enough money to properly honor the people. Carrie is tentatively planning a sports auction on August 9th. I think it would be really cool to tie it into that auction. We could have a dinner, Hall of Fame induction auction all at once. So we want to talk about how much money this would take. Simply selecting the people, wouldn't take any money at all, because, we just take research, and I would do that for the fun of it. I got a guy at Jim Hayes, his name. He's at the Utah Pioneer Museum. He is, since the day I got hired, he's been like cool Mapleton sports history stuff. I was friends with him when I worked with the paper, so ever since then, he knew I was here. So a lot of stuff you've seen me share online or stuff that Jim Hayes just sent me. So then he is excited when I mentioned this to him to be kind of our liaison, and he'll help us with whatever we need. Jamie Crawford Sautner, I don't know her, but if you're on Facebook, you know of her. And she claims to have an annual collection in a vault somewhere that's, like supposedly at class reunions, people often come with.
Our vault.
Is that what you're
I pull them
referring
out,
to?
yeah, I pull them out every year for her.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And stick them up. So we ordered 2 extra, we
Let's
actually
be
were
honest.
ordering today for this, but 2 extra annuals every year, and then keep them in the vault forever. But
I pictured she had like some, like in her
No, I
backyard.
think
Yeah,
it
no,
was
it's-
another one because they always bring them out every year.
Yeah, it's
There was
literally in
someone
our
on there
vault, I put them all
Gotcha.
on a thing and take them
saying
down.
they had some to get rid of,
Yeah,
and so they were saying to,
bring them down. Yeah, we probably have I don't think
We
we're
don't.
missing any years.
As far as I can tell, we are missing some years.
Okay.
And one cool thing,
That'd be good to figure out which ones and make a list, because then we can send that out to community and say,
no,
does anybody
let me
have
tell you a really
these?
good reason, see why that'd be cool. That's a reason too, to get the hard copy, but Jim Hayes is, he already did with Sayus Law, and he's doing ours next, he's digitizing our entire yearbook collection. And he doesn't have them all, so he wants to know what we have so we can share with him and vice versa, you know, and we will get a copy of that digital collection and, you know, if we had an actual Hall of Fame room, you know, wouldn't it be cool to have the annuals lined up in there?
Yeah, that'd be great.
I think I mentioned this already, but as far as I can tell, the first annual was in 1937, so, I need a line, so, you know, but if you know somebody that was a good hockey player in 1903, please don't reach out, we'll get you in there. For those, you know, for a lot of the athletes that have passed, we'll have to find their relatives, as I mentioned. I think, you know, I kind of, seems like it might be a fun process trying to track these people down, and I think a lot of people are looking for a reason to come home, you know what I mean? And this would be a reason.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And I think I think it'd be cool, like, for example, the 1948 team, like, I bet people don't realize their grandpa was on that team. You know what I mean?
that's true.
and that might not have been a story that got passed through.
Yeah, exactly. You know, whereas other people like Greg Lindsay, the reason I even know about the 48 team, I went over to his house and he pulled out the yearbook and he's like, this is my grandpa, he was on the greatest you know, basketball team at all. So there are people that are really into it.
Yeah.
He did, and he probably told us.
Yeah.
And just think how cool that would be to get him come up there and he could be the one that reads.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You have 45 minutes.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So maybe I
We'll have
mentioned
to go
this.
see it for a few months after that.
Carrie and Cassie, along with Tucker, have all expressed interest in being a part of this, and I would
Oh,
love, I
love
mean, a great crew of people that are ready to help me, and I feel
Energetic
like we can do this with their help.
too. Go get us.
Let's see, you know, we talked about criteria a little bit, but, you know, things like they have to have played at least one season at Mapleton. We would need to find some documentation of their exploits. We don't want some guy that, you know, my uncle told me he scored 9 touchdowns against Villicoma in 1940, you know, we need something that proves that. Some of the people I've thought about as possible selection committee members, just to throw that out, Mizu, because I know she's been here for a while, Michelle, you know, she's, I don't know how into sports she is, but she's been sitting there for a sure long time. Brian Moore, Jeff Green, Danelle, Don Wilbur, is he still in town, or we?
He is,
Yeah.
but not,
What do we know about him?
I don't know that he doesn't get out much really.
So who do we know, somebody like him, though, you know what I mean, is there anybody? This is not something to figure out now.
Yeah, no, but
Yeah.
We can brainstorm.
Yeah, I would hate, like, that,
Greg Lindsay.
Yeah.
well,
Sorry.
perfect, yeah. I would hate, though, like, them to think some young buck came in and, like, figured it out, and, like, I didn't get input from the old timers, so it's really
No, I
important
think that's a
for me
great
to,
idea.
yeah,
Ask Brenda Moyer about who.
Yeah.
gotcha.
About who.
Actually, Brenda
That's a good
might be a
idea.
really good
Well,
person.
she would be
to
a
put on
really
this.
good person.
Yeah.
but
Great.
also-
She might know
and
some other
She might
people.
also know other people who
That's
would
a
be
great
good.
idea.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm really gonna, and I don't know how the process would work, but if you guys are cool with it, like, maybe in the next couple meetings, we could choose the committee, like, I'll put out a call for volunteers right now, and we'll get a list of, and then all of us will choose it. Does that seem like a
Sure.
a doable idea? And
Run
assuming this
with
is
it.
something you guys wanna do.
Or, no, you had us convinced pretty early on.
All right. But, yeah,
That's awesome. I love it.
this is, you know, for terms of my morale, you know, this is something I miss, like digging around in old newspapers and stuff. Give me a chance
I'll
to
show you
do it.
tomorrow.
So-
I mean, they're not hard to find, but I'll point in the vault.
Yeah, well, I knew they were there. I just had this image that, you know,
There's some other.
Amy Saunders kind of I've never met her, but man, she's something, based on her Facebook. And so I have this whole image of her, and I pictured, you know, she has her own Mapleton shrine, and then there's like a door that opens, and then there's like climate control room, you know. Apparently not. And I know they'll have an all year's reunion this summer, I assume,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's really
every
important
year.
that we,
Yeah.
along with that communication, we can talk about this.
Yes,
too.
yes.
I believe it's August 2nd, because it's
Right.
usually the first Saturday, and somebody called me about Friday
Mhm.
this morning, so that's why I know the date. And then, somebody, I feel like each year this happens, but people will they'll be cleaning out their own stuff
I know.
and bring stuff into it. I think,
Yeah.
Yeah, how, and that, you got me thinking too, like if we called for like old
The
Mapleton
other year.
stuff,
Yeah.
that if we had a room, you know, that we
Yeah.
could fill with,
Yeah, I'll give you another name too, because my son-in-law's grandma, she comes and watches Morgan stuff everywhere. That's all I hear about is stories. In fact, when she was at the senior night game, she was talking about when she was on the basketball team, so, yeah,
Yeah.
what's her name?
Anna Stone Lake.
She comes to
Her name's
the
Stone Lake.
alumni.
She always
Each
comes to
summer.
that.
Mhm.
And then, others, why she'd have, her, whatever buddies are left, and so.
Yes.
Sherry Dutch has a good one.
Mhm. Yeah, there's lots of, yeah.
Zach, did you get
And-
on Sherry Dutcher?
I mean,
Sherry Dutcher, no.
Even John, he is super into sports. I mean, it comes with a lot of information about sports when you hear about it.
Yeah.
John Walker does,
Yeah.
yeah.
John Walker?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, right, and I think there are like people who might have those missing, if we do identify missing annuals, missing yearbooks, like they would have those,
Oh,
we
yeah.
could put the call out for them, and
Yeah.
it maybe not want to give them to us if they want to hold on to them, but they could be digitized.
Exactly, yeah.
That'd be cool.
Jim also said, like, if we, they've offered to do this with Sayus Law, but they haven't yet, but they said in the Pioneer Museum, they would have like a little junior Hall of Fame, and like each year's inductees, we could keep there for the year, kind of thing, and, as a satellite location or something.
Well, or like, and then I think Troy's family runs a large gamut of years, I think, there.
Well-
Like, but if you see Millbraid's on the wall, like, if you're lacking for ones, like, I can reach out to people and see if they have, any missing information or something.
Yeah, I would say,
And-
yes, reach out. And I will, one project, I'm gonna, you see all these Facebook comments and stuff like that, little thing, I wanna sit down with these people and just let them talk and record them, and that might be another project that becomes part of this, that we can somehow, and maybe I could get a kid to help me and
Well,
stuff.
I think the
and-
media,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, the
PBL,
Yeah.
that's been brought up at different points, so I think could be an avenue to connecting them
Yeah.
to living histories.
You might tap Teresa Spangler also, just because she was really instrumental with the pool, and that was a big part of the athletics for a long time.
I think maybe we induct the Mapleton pool, seriously,
Yeah.
that's some, it's gone now, but
Like,
it's.
part of history.
Yeah.
And that, there's tons of Beerses, like the 1948 team the 52 team has a
Yes.
Larry Beers, is that,
Yeah, yeah.
is that Jesse's dad?
Yeah, his
Okay.
grandfather, his grandpa.
Grandpa, gotcha,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
So,
Larry and, all of the beers were.
yeah, Nova's got family that was on one of them that I saw,
Lucille and-
that's what I got. So,
I love
maybe a plan of action would be at the April board meeting, we'll choose the selection committee, does that seem?
Do we need to, we don't, like, then this is the question, because I don't know, like, do we need to, like, does the school board need to choose a board like that, or can we just, like, I don't know.
Well, so getting input from other schools, some do have the school board choose it, not all of them. And
Yeah.
I guess my thought is it gives some legitimacy to it, and
I like
Sure.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people trust me, but also, some people don't know me, and
Yeah.
we need to have someone choose.
And it lives
Yeah.
with the school
Yeah, that way.
district
Yeah.
and board,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
Zach. Right, like,
Yeah,
I
totally.
think I do think it legitimate, whatever that word is.
Yeah.
And we should have a system to review that committee too, every 2 years or something,
Yeah.
and, maybe people, it is a lifetime thing, maybe we could say, but, if
Yeah.
Stone Lake starts going to Triangle Lake or something, we may have to kick her off.
She
Go in the box.
She jumped ship.
She's,
Yeah.
She's gonna be part of the bleachers.
Anybody got any questions or anything?
You've done a great
No,
job
it's
trying to
exciting.
figure it out already.
Proposal.
Yeah.
Also, I can see your like reporter self coming.
Yeah,
I think
That's
so.
really fun.
You know, it's a good way to get some of that back. so.
Well, I'm kind of a know-it-all, and this like allows me to like be, legitimizes my know-it-allness,
Perfect.
I just like telling
It's
people
a good,
stuff.
yeah, it's a good avenue for your energy of
This
it.
is
I like it.
I hadn't thought about until the board question came up, but writing a policy to add to it, to say this is what the
Yeah.
Hall of Fame is, and
Oh,
here's who,
yeah.
here's how the board is chosen and reviewed each, like, it doesn't need to be big and long, but
Yeah.
if it exists, then it is
Yes.
actually,
You might see what
Ingrained
the other school that
Yeah.
has it like.
100%, yeah,
Go into
and-
that and
We can
steal their
just-
things.
Maybe-
yeah, well, and I was just to throw out there, I think those are things that, like, y'all can write your own policy, but I think having students do some
Yeah.
of that work
Oh, yeah.
and bring a proposal policy, then it can be revised or accept.
Yeah.
It's like portrait of
But
a
it's a way
Mapleton
to-
graduate, we want a portrait of a
Yeah.
Mapleton
Yeah.
Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And then, and then they could learn to like go look and find and make their own, right?
Yeah,
They go look
just
and,
some life skills there.
yeah, that's a good idea.
That's great.
I like it.
And and I shouldn't just, this whole project, let's not just call it the Mapleton Hall of Fame, let's just call it the Mapleton Athletic Hall of Fame and history, somehow like we're gonna get the history all taken care of and figured out and have.
I think it'll evolve to there, yeah. I think it's nice, like you said, like let's just start with that athletic thing, because it's a good way to focus and get it kicked off and going, and everybody loves sports or the history of it, or what
Yeah.
they did in the past, or their family members did in the past, and then it'll completely evolve from there.
Gotcha. Cool. So maybe what I'll do, next meeting, I'll try to bring some examples of bylaws and stuff like that, we can talk about that, or.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to me.
This is great. Thank you.
I'm leaving.
Bye.
Love you all. Have a good night.
All right, run through, keep these fairly short. Student report, not tonight. Reports for schools in general, just to let you know, illness is rampant. We had our lowest attendance, I think, maybe in 3 years yesterday. And I did just board update, when it drops that low, we have to call Wayne County Public Health. I'm talking with them right now. You know, they called it February crud, and probably some flu is going around. Wash your hands, be careful. I did cancel preschool for tomorrow for staffing reason. It's hitting our staff and our kids. So that was this afternoon's work.
Does Helen know that?
Say again.
Does Helen know this one?
Ooh,
I'm gonna text them right now.
thank you. I don't know if they're on the, thank you. Basketball season's getting close to wrapping up. You guys know as much as I do on those schedules, but yeah, bummer game last night. Unfortunately, I think illness impacted that.
That's what I heard afterwards. I was like, dang it.
Yeah. So Saturday games,
10:30 and noon.
10:30 and noon, and then if everything goes the way it's supposed to, host Tuesday night girls here, which would be awesome. So, which will be awesome. And we are doing that's why I was setting this up. Pep rally tomorrow at 3 o'clock. That's open to the community. I've sent that out through Parent Square, and I think got it on Facebook at some point. And so spread the word if you're available at 3 o'clock. Come celebrate our kiddos. So I think I let you guys know last meeting, the Division 22 extensions for the substance use prevention and sexuality education components. ODE can extend those for 2 years, but in the 3rd year, you have to ask the state board permission. I did that someday last week, jumped on the call, had sent a letter over. So that's approved for an extension through this year and needs to be in place by the beginning of next year. That's spring committee work it's connected to health materials adoption, and we're working on getting those plans laid out. Those materials are at the ESD right now. they hosted an educator day in the beginning of January, I think it was January 6th. And we've gotten some of those materials in the mail and are gonna do some pilots with those, and then have an event open to community input as well. So just speaking back to adoption processes, we're working through that right now, and then the plans will be aligned to the curriculum that are picked. And then, oh, that's my notes from that. What does that mean? The integrated plan is the big every 2-year district plan that serves as our continuous improvement plan and integrates funding for high school success, SIA, those different things. We have, we're gonna connect, all of these are connected to accreditation processes too, so when we do these things, we're using them for both processes. But we have a survey going out Monday and Tuesday to 7th through 12th graders, belonging and climate and culture. And I will share those through Parent Square this week so that parents know what that is. I think that came up last year in a conversation, so that'll go out Friday, probably Friday to parents, and then students will take that Monday and Tuesday. That data is getting aggregated March 3rd. We're gonna host, have like 3 rotations for all the students on campus that's on, Boots is gonna do the mental wellness training. 15th night will be out here doing a student needs assessment, or a needs assessment with the students. They'll come the next day and do one with staff. And then in the 3rd rotation, we'll use the data from this survey to do a listening session with students to deepen and hear their ideas for continuously improving the district. And then we'll follow up with that's the 3rd, the 7th, we'll do that same thing with that data with staff. And then the 14th, I think I invited all board members, not everybody's available, but the 14th we'll host a needs assessment morning. There's a better word for that, sorry, my language is leaving me today, but working to bring 15 to 20 people together, representative of students, staff, and families, to look at multiple data sources and dig in and talk about what's working, what's not working, those kind of things. And that informs our integrated plan and budgeting there. And then that, the plan, assuming none of those dates get canceled, hopefully weather's done, those kind of things, we'll finish writing the plan right after the 14th and then present that plan in the March board meeting. We have to do it by April, because it's due April 30th, but we think we'll have it done for the March board meeting, so I'll just put it on there and get that off the list. And us moving faster on that helps with accreditation, where everything's going to that process too. So that's what's happening there. The goal of that needs assessment group is that process, we'll try that protocol, we'll get feedback on it, modify some, but that becomes a couple times a year, a protocol we do to get together, look at data, say what's working, what's not, what ideas do we have in committee, and then have that be an ongoing process that will meet both the requirement for the district wellness committee and district equity committee. And so we've been trying to figure out, like, everybody's plates are really full and adding another committee or meeting or those kind of things, but they're required of us as well. And so I think this is a way to launch it with something we have to do now, and then turn it into something that meets those requirements. So I'll keep people posted. And then I'm reaching out specifically to some people to make sure there's representation from right, staff, students, families, different age groups, those kind of things, so that the whole district's represented in that. I'm also gonna invite anyone to come do that so that they see the process and are welcome to engage in it. So we'll have some targeted recruitment and some open recruitment for it, so. Just what I told you guys about, oh, and, okay, website. No, it used to be the pool. I can't decide if it's the pool or the website. Right now, the website's winning. I can pretend the pool doesn't exist. So I know we talked the other day. So internally, it goes to the old one. Externally, the security things are fixed on the new one. But there's some things that aren't.
Like it's older
Older stuff. Yeah. So. But in mine, that's not true. So I think as soon as we say launch it over to the other one, so I have an email into ESD, but I didn't get it sent till today to make the internal and external match, and they should do that. They're pretty quick at doing that stuff. I can't guarantee who's working there today, but I'll say by Monday. I don't know if it'll be on Friday or the next one, but I think those things are all gonna match as soon as we lift the one. So
you were always waiting for, what, like Parent Square to link properly?
yeah, so it was the security certificates,
Oh.
and it's something they do on their end, but when we did our, like, they knew I was turning it over, I don't know where in that, like,
So
I met with
work
her,
now, like-
those are done, yeah,
Yeah.
you don't get the, like, you're gonna lose all your information or whatever, this is unsecure kind of thing. It takes you to it, but now we have old and new not talking,
Yeah.
and so we just need to change the internal. So I think that will be done by Monday. I'm assuming it's the ESD is the one I asked to switch it, so I think they just undo it, but they may send us something back. So,
Okay.
bye Lou.
Bye, Lou.
Bye, everybody, bye, Karen.
That's, I mean, I can always hop on, but we'll get to policies, so.
Okay.
Jaren, anything to, or, I'm doing Andrew's stuff. Andrew,
No, fine.
what's next, Andrea?
Move on. I'm gonna put the hands in my mouth, so go ahead. You're up for a while.
Anything you wanna know?
What do we need to know?
Yeah, not if there's something that stands out crazy. I looked over. All the stuff.
Finances, no. Facilities and maintenance stuff, if you,
Oh, yeah, we should get the update on the maintenance
good.
stuff down there.
So we are starting asbestos abatement Monday. They'll be starting in the back of the building and working on it and doing the rest, starting the rest of it the Monday after on the 3rd. We've been working on getting stuff out of the building and it's progressing. What else you wanna know?
No, that's it. I think.
I'll just name out loud, the hardest thing is space. Space is always a issue, and we're moving some people's space that they found. Like, that wasn't the right way to say that. For example, like, gardening and business they have stuff and where they work out of, and we pushed into that building, and now I'm pushing them out for a few weeks
true.
and trying to figure out where that stuff goes, and then EA's offices are in there, and so everybody's gonna be in a place of displacement. And so it's really funny when people are like, do you know what happened to and Jared knows where all of it is, which is great, because I'm like, we moved it. So, but he knows the
That's
answer.
'cause I moved it.
Yeah, yes,
Right.
yes.
We as a fee, yeah.
Even if I did that, I wouldn't remember, so, put it somewhere. Yeah, so it's gonna just be a little disorienting for a couple weeks, but it's worth it, because
It is.
we'll get in there.
And so it's like, asbestos abatement is gonna take, they still think it's gonna take, what, like 3 weeks or something?
Yeah.
That's what I've been telling people.
And then before people can be back in, there's like wood flooring and, yeah.
Yep, and I brought up to, I haven't talked to Sue about this yet, I brought up to Watershed that they have a couple of paint swatches on their wall.
I
that have
found
been
those
there for I
today.
don't know how long. And I was like, you know, with the flooring gone and all of your stuff out of here, it'd be a great time if you want to paint
Yes.
this room to do it. I said if we could get a couple gallons and if they convince community members to come and help paint, then,
Yeah.
you know, throw a coat of paint up
Be
here.
pretty fast with that, with everything out of there and,
Yeah.
yeah. Yep, cool. I think we're gonna,
It's so nice to paint that way.
yeah, yes, like, no, yes, so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and cover everything, don't have to worry about it. Yep. For sure. I don't think I have any other questions, I just wanted, I wanted that to get mentioned because it is a big sort of upheaval.
Yeah. And I need to talk with, just Sue because Randy's gone tomorrow. So chat with her about flooring,
Mhm.
work on getting figuring
Mhm.
something out.
Yeah, I mean, if they get in there and they feel like it'd be like easiest to leave the wood flooring there and just get rid of all the asbestos, then, you know, they can do that.
I mean, they sounded like, I was talking to somebody today, might have been Luke, but, they're like, there's beautiful floors, don't take all those up. My understanding in those meetings is they're not committed, I mean, they wanna only take up as much as they need to, and they're not gonna know until, remember he had those diagrams of all the layers and not knowing until they're in there, so
Yeah, but I
hopefully
think,
there's
yeah,
some,
right.
some.
that's the comment I heard was that it'd be too hard to get because it's the adhesive,
Domestic.
it rather, you know, so like get it off without and leave the wood. I mean, that it would be doable, but it'd be probably a lot more expensive or something because of it. But if it's not, for some reason, if they just pops off of there and then you're the asbestos, that's a great floor, potentially. Yeah, there's like nice wood flooring under there. I mean, I don't know anything about floors, so I don't know how nice it actually is, but like,
It's exciting
Put
to
a
see
bar
it
in
from
there and
a
some mirrors and you have a space for some else.
sure. Yeah,
You know, how many space for else in it?
well, I mean, we could talk that community, that front room, the watershed, we have, if the idea is it's like a community meeting room space that can get used for different things. And it's
Depending on what the floor, I mean, all you need is a floor, and you can do anything else you want.
right.
We have those tables in the college and career room that fold up real nice and wheel out, so you can do something like that in there
Right.
and then
Mm-hmm.
have them against the wall and have class.
Right.
Or-
You could do like community with them and stuff,
Love that.
and dance.
Well, they could, you know, then you can have like any type of like movement thing in the evenings, you know.
Right, and you have, or like you could be having a meeting and you could do like childcare in there, like room,
Yeah,
if you're offering that or something.
yeah.
Anyway, the floor is all you need.
Right.
Get
Happy
a
wood
naked,
floor.
naked spot for a good floor.
Yes. Yes.
While we're
Right.
talking floors is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I know, totally. I have digressed us though, so.
Yeah, thanks for that. So I
Yeah,
saw the
thank you.
comments box
Yeah.
and like moving out, and I'm like, oh, it's happening.
I know.
Yay.
Nice.
Yay.
Well, kind of yay, yeah, I mean,
I mean, it's chaos in the way, but.
yeah, it's a,
But with a good, like a good,
An
I mean, as
outcome,
moving,
but-
moving always is, it's like, you don't want to do it, but there's some good things that come out of it.
Yes, it'll be really good in the end, and then sometimes then you clean things up.
Well, that's what I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
we've actually, of course, we're sorting stuff.
Purged
We
a
haven't
lot.
sorted in a decade and all that.
yeah, you could like rearrange so that, you know,
Yeah.
clean, straight.
That was really fun. Like today I was like, what color are you guys gonna pick? So these swatch it and they're like, these have been here for years.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, and then Mizu's like, actually we've been cleaning, so I think they stand out more now. And I looked around and I was like, these walls are painted yellow.
Right.
Has it always been yellow in here?
Like, yes.
Yep. And I was like, good job cleaning. So, makes the walls pop. So.
Okay, so the consent agenda, anyone have any questions or concerns on that, or?
No. what happened, but no, you just wrote a check in though?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the manual,
That's okay.
one of the manual check. I hate how the manual, because yeah, if I do a manual check for payroll, you know, if there's
Yes.
something that
Yeah.
I turned in time card late, or if the system just screws stuff up and I have to
Yeah.
redo something, then it just prints out what's the payroll journal part, and it doesn't add it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that doesn't
Yes.
go on.
Annoying. No, I don't have any questions though.
I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved, we approve 6.1, 2, and 3.
Second.
All those in favor? Unanimous. Action items, policies, everybody's favorite, second read. So those we just say yay or nay, right?
Mm-hmm.
I
Okay.
mean, I wasn't at the last board meeting, I read through them. I just wanted to ask if there was anything that came up at the last board meeting, I didn't get a chance to listen.
You know, I did think about that last
The
week.
kitchen one.
So,
Yes,
kitchen
that
one.
was the
Yeah, I
one.
reached out to
Yes.
Jared, you wanna share that one?
So-
7-1-10. Or is that sure? I can't actually see.
Yes.
7-1-10.
Because as I was looking through them and bringing them up, I had a question, you know, where we're thinking about putting in this kitchen and stuff. Is EDC, oh yeah, it's First Street. And, you know, because the policy says in all cases of public use, equipment shall not be used for private financial gain. And so I was like, okay, if we're having the kitchen use then as a business or something and stuff, but as I was rereading this, I was like, you know, in case of public use, so that's kind of private use, renting it out to them and stuff, not being used to serve the general public at that time. And so I was trying to think how I worded it in my head related to this, but viewed it as, yes, public use versus kind of renting it, just like we have a public building space, but we rent it out. Not like you guys are in it for financial gain,
Right.
being a nonprofit, but
Yeah.
the same thing, similar thing, and I'm like, and so it's, yeah, so I'm okay with,
Jared, if I can, are you saying any use of it that would be potentially for gain would need to have a rental fee attached to it?
yes, I would say, yeah, instead of calling it public use, then we are kind of renting
Rental
the
agreement
space.
use, yeah. And like for me, in my head, it's like, right, we're standing up different opportunities with the farmer's market
Mhm.
and have a really cool example where we supported a community member to kind of learn how to sell their stuff, to now be able to sell at markets. And that's for their financial gain. We think that's important for the community members. That person is also contributing to the garden and farm now, right? It's reciprocal. But if a similar thing, it was like, actually, this community member wants to sell X at the farmer's market but needs a kitchen in order to prepare it, they're gonna need to have a rental agreement for that space to do that, to then take it out there. But that it exists, and we would love that it supports, and ultimately their involvement in our farmers markets grows the impact of our farmers markets for public improvement too, school improvement, those kind of things. So, but I think making sure there's a rental agreement attached to it anytime it's like, actually, we're supporting you to make money there, we have to get, you know, and it could be like a small percentage of what you make.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a
And that's
big
just like if
thing.
I was to come in and bake or produce a bunch of items to sell there to make money for myself. But like
Yeah.
the students can still go
Exactly.
do and then make money for
Yes.
whatever they're.
Exactly, yep, yeah, well, as soon as it's personalized
Yeah.
financial gain, then we do
Yeah,
a
where
rental
it's just
agreement.
going just
Yeah.
solely to that person.
And likely that would, in most cases like that, it would look like a percentage of your sales at that thing is gonna go to this program.
Some sort of agreed upon small fee or something.
Yeah.
Oh, and maybe part of also was the equipment use, equipment versus because it also says on here there are no equipment use fees, and so it's, but so yeah, we're not going to let someone borrow our tractor and take it and go and charge people to plow their fields or something.
But someone
Doesn't
can,
work terribly well
But if they
here.
use
but
the
someone can't
stone-
just come and borrow the tractor either, just to even go take care of their own things,
Right,
right?
not making
I
money.
mean, it's public, if we wanted to let someone borrow,
Yeah.
then it's our equipment and public.
I'm gonna say no
mean,
to that one.
public
yeah.
use. But
I'll,
yes,
I'll let my husband know right now.
Yeah, yeah. Nope.
Because then I don't have to buy it.
Yeah.
Because transportation of borrowed equipment will be the user's responsibility, it says right there.
Oh.
And so, yeah.
So if you have a license and borrow the bus and you break it, it's the user's responsibility.
Yes.
Well, transportation, fee will be determined according to repair or replacement costs, so in the event of excessive damage. But, yeah, so
I just figure you don't want to incur the downtime either.
Yeah, and looking at these ORSs and the OAR and stuff, I didn't see anything in here. The main thing is the government ethics, the ethics thing of
Public funds.
not benefiting, you know, employees not benefiting from, just like, so if an employee goes and buys something from Safeway or Freddy's, well, two things with that. So if they're using their own personal credit card, they need, according to the ethics and stuff, they need to be using a card that does not give them any points or cash back rewards,
Yeah.
because then they're benefiting, and you can't use your own Safeway card because then you're getting Safeway
Oh,
points
that's so hard.
and stuff. And so it's, you know, so I feel like
That's why we
this
sign
kind
up
of
with our
falls
cards.
in with the OGEC stuff there, kind of falls into that stuff also, and it's, I don't think it's really an issue, so, for letting community members, especially if we put it as a rent out and stuff, if we were, and, you know,
We should,
how much we,
when it comes to actually doing that though, I mean, but we'll rent out, yeah, we rent out space, you know, like, I don't know, we can, you know, but, or we have rented out space in the past for various events and stuff like that, but I'm wondering, like, when it comes to like something like that, like the kitchen where we're actually, somebody is gonna rent it to use it to make money, you know, to make something to sell, or, I mean, should we have whatever, we should have whatever rental agreement or whatever policy that can like just run it by,
Yeah.
like,
I mean,
legal.
we have the existing one, and I think we could make it specific to, right, like they have to have certain number of,
Right.
certain amount of insurance coverage, that's usually
Right.
the sticking point with people.
Yeah. But I mean, just for this
Couple of
specifically to run it by a legal, get a legal opinion on it for just specifically for the public facilities and use for private, you know. Then if we have that and it's all been, you know, it's been looked at, that'd be better up front than like having to answer questions about it later and like try to dig up, you know, so. It doesn't seem like it will be hard to do, it seems like lots of places, like lots of public entities do that, so.
Just process-wise, approve the policy, but then run it through legal, or run it through legal first and then revisit the policy?
I think approve the policy
Yeah.
and then work up a rental agreement.
Yeah, it's not, yes,
Get your stuff and run that by legal.
that's what I'm thinking, like the policy already is gonna be
The same.
legal, because that's what's coming to us from OSBA with all of the.
And then make sure our process is.
But yes, it's that our processes are
Yep.
correct.
Yep.
Also, like, when I was reading through these, it's like, by the time I got there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put that one at the top,
Yeah.
would have
like,
been.
I'm trying to be.
Would've been all
blunt,
yours.
you know?
Yeah.
But, like,
Sure.
sometimes it's nice to be there for the conversation.
Right.
So
Yeah.
thank you for talking me through all of that. So,
And yes, for your FYI, Mary, we're the EBBAR, the 7.1.7 integrated pest management plan, we're planning on deleting that because Randy does that and it's a plan and presumably isn't policy.
Okay,
It's
right.
okay,
a,
all right.
Okay, so, yeah, one of you.
I move that we approve policies under 7.1 or actions on the policies under 7.1 as indicated.
And I second that.
All those in favor?
Okay.
Now I get why you need 3 for a quorum.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody needs second.
Yeah.
Right.
I get
Yeah.
it, finally. It's not that it's majority, it's that you need.
That too, but.
Sorry, don't mind me.
Older friend.
Those are things that are supposed to stay in my head.
Okay, so, policy, first reads.
Okay.
so these are just from the list from OSBA, you know, based on our policy review, so. Recommend deleting the FCAR, preparing building fund estimates and budgets.
So I keep FC, so there's an FC, capital construction program, and this is that, they're just deleting the AR because likely that exists in some other plan somewhere, is that usually that's what it is, but. Or it's not a board, it's not a board process, it's a,
Yeah, I mean, it's,
yeah, they're naming that it's maintenance and superintendent, not
Mm-hmm.
board, so there doesn't need to be a board AR, so that's the deletion.
Oh,
I think that's just one I overlooked on the big deletion. That, notice, we can celebrate for a minute, that was the only F, so we could have just done one this month.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
And then jump to G.
Man.
But,
But it's.
I'll give you this spot here to say, let's wait, but, G has a lot, not F.
Let's do them. Quick.
Yeah.
Alright. Do you have the, you guys have the new, or you looked through them?
Well, look, I don't know
Yeah,
if I printed the
yeah.
right one.
I didn't print.
Oh, I did. You can pass, I don't know, I hit print more than I wanted to, or on the wrong thing, and then I was like, oh, awesome.
Right.
All
It didn't even like go to the right,
No, just kidding.
I think it
Well,
went,
scratch
no, it
paper.
didn't even go to the right printer where it printed on both sides, and I was like, I went over there later, and I was like, oh my god,
Yes.
awesome. I wanna see the papers.
Mhm.
I guess since my back is turned, that's perfect that I did.
okay, I've got my notes here.
So yeah, we're just going through GB, so. This is just a review. Most of these are, just reviewing or responsibility.
So no changes to GB? Is
No.
just reviewing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright,
To see if anything.
moving on.
Yep, I do not have
We
any.
need my other cheat sheet here.
And then CBCBA, alcohol controlled substance, that was just,
So we're not about that, okay?
that was just a review too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Buying, selling, transporting of intoxicants,
Don't do it.
It seems clear, yes.
Yeah.
Is everything all right, so-
It's-
He's probably be gone.
So we do searches if we give notice, we can't do surprise searches.
do we do what?
I was just reading.
She was reading the search part.
Oh,
We can do
Oh.
searches.
right, prior notice.
That's
Searches
prior
of
notice.
just- oh,
It needs some suspicion.
equipment.
But if they have reasonable grounds to believe, then you can do an immediate testing, right?
If like, some speech therapy.
Oh, hang on one second.
Sorry, Mary, I
No, it's all good, I was just reading it, it's fine.
was organizing here, but that's on GB, CBA?
Yeah, yes.
And the search part, okay.
Okay, thank you, bye.
Um,
Okay, if anyone wants a really quick side note, someone was driving, so I was really afraid to answer that phone call, but, you heard?
I heard.
We played T-Lake on Saturday, not Mohawk.
T-Lake,
They won by 4.
Wait,
T-Lake is, I'm sorry. You're upsetting all over the place, aren't they?
T-Lake beat Mohawk girls?
By 4. Just now, yeah.
Wow, okay.
They're having a couple days, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I thought
And
someone was
and
in
related to
distress.
this,
Nope.
I don't know if, I'm guessing there's another one related to this on, well, drug-free
Yeah, I'm just
workplace,
gonna, like, figure it into this
GPAC. Since we do random testing for drivers and stuff, since we're required to.
There's
Yeah.
that's a requirement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
And
that's,
it's announced when they're hired.
right, and
Then
that's
it's
not,
gonna
that's not
happen.
part of this
Yeah.
policy, that's a separate.
No, because that's in a different,
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah, that was just a review. GBAB, communicable diseases in schools.
Oh, so we're just basically adding students and,
um,
student and employer, student health, so just staff.
makes it easier.
Okay.
Yeah, no either or options on there, so.
It seems like less
Just an update.
verbiage and paperwork, right?
Yeah. Makes sense, it's
GBAB-R.
You are.
It's funner when you do it like that.
Reminds me of a series of children's books that are.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
those books.
Yep. Just update.
That's just changing it again, right, even on the AR thing.
Yeah.
All good.
Yeah, and we write a communicable disease plan that exists and gets updated, and this matches all of that, so. It's actually interesting that they didn't delete some of this because it's in a required plan where they use that as the reason for a lot of deletions, but there must be something that's, well, And none of us wanna look up the 60-page document.
Yeah,
And it's nicer
that's
to
true.
read
You
this
can go
and
to
say
this.
like, okay,
Yeah.
what's the actual rule here?
What's the cut and try of the thing?
Yeah.
So there is one section in here under reportable diseases notification for optional, well, the number 3, district staff with impaired immune responses that are of childbearing age or some other medically fragile condition should consult with a medical provider for additional guidance. Report, it's got a number 4 that I refer to.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, that seems good. It's not putting it's putting onus on the staff to know themselves that they're medically fragile and,
And what to do
Yeah.
about it.
yeah,
yeah. So, want to keep that in there.
yeah. Yep.
The administrator or designee shall consult with the district's or school nurse or other, we'll just say
We
district.
wish.
Districts, we do, we contract district nursing,
Yeah, but like,
hourly,
Yeah.
kind of thing, so,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's certainly not high school.
But not, yeah, not that woman's office you go to that.
yes. No.
Okay. GBEC, drug-free workplace. These, and once again, the rest of these are reviews. We have one consider deleting. Drug-free workplace.
It's just kind of funny, no district inflation, no any sale marketers should be started. But it only says the kindergarten through 12th
Yeah,
grade
it's
students.
just
The
only the
rest of the
students.
population go
Yeah.
ahead.
It's your coworker is telling you.
Yes. Yeah, okay. Maybe not.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Sorry.
A student teacher come in, go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, even
Well, I mean,
they're
we've
not
got
part of
pre-K
your
also. I mean,
duties.
we can
Yes,
start-
yes, you go.
That's what I
Yes,
thought the
it's
joke
on
was
there.
gonna be.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That's true too.
Yeah, that's what I thought the
Yes.
joke was gonna be, but then when it
Yeah.
was staff, it was like,
Yeah.
oh, well, I mean, that's like actually.
4-year-olds and 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
Fair game.
And actually, any kid that's not your technical responsibility, that could be tightened up.
It does. I mean, maybe it doesn't need to be because we all know what the
Yeah.
intent is,
Yeah.
but.
I think they're bound by some other rules,
Yes,
even if,
you think so?
even if they went to the pre-K, and I think they'll get covered, yeah.
Yeah, yes, probably so.
So just keeping that as is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it needs a Mizu sentence. Just says.
And everybody else too.
Yeah.
Mizu, quote.
Any person on the campus.
This
for
is a
whatever
bad
reason,
idea.
They're there.
Yes, just don't.
Just don't do it.
Just don't.
GBMR, staff complaints. They recommend possibly deleting this one and just using the generalized complaint. KLAR. I think that's kind of your generalized complaint policy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think having one process is easier to come
Yeah.
people
It
to.
is.
Yeah.
And especially like we have so many staff people who are also parents who are also
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it can
Yeah.
get confusing which hat.
Yeah,
Yep.
just direct it to that.
Yes.
Okay. And then
Jigabada.
it'll be personal
Ooh, good work.
leaves and absences. Is that the same as
Person.
personal illness and injury leave? Right, yeah. I guess so.
Yeah. I mean, is this,
This is just review, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But isn't it in the
it's
bargaining
in the
agreement?
Yeah.
It
bargaining
should be
agreement.
in there. Hold on, let me look up one thing.
Yeah, like, we
GCBD.
definitely don't want it to say different things.
Yeah, because
Put
I
in
was like,
there.
okay, well, this seems like something that was in their agreement.
And they've got some ORSs and
That's the
EDA and
thing, it's so
FMLA
regulated, like,
stuff, but
the same, and so we need it restated.
Exactly.
In places, 'cause
And then
it's-
it does leave room for verbiage to change on one and not the other.
And no matter what, you're gonna have to consult whatever the state says.
So they put a 2 on this, which is
just review.
recommend, review, or
Yeah.
revise.
Yeah. Especially where this doesn't, so leave entitlement for personal illness will accrue at the rate of 10 days each year. It doesn't say for who.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
12-month employees, 12 days, yeah, I mean, I guess that, but,
Because, well, I guess,
That's sort of saying that it would be,
because, yeah, I guess
Classified would be-
classified and certified both get 10 days. I mean, it's, well, and the law, I think
but
the
it's
law
in
is
there,
4
it's
days.
in each of their agreements, right? So like,
Yes, it's in each of
We
their.
don't-
Yeah,
Because
so I
also that-
wonder if what this does is make sure that you don't change the bargaining
on either
agreement
side.
to be out of compliance.
But
with
is
the
that
law.
last sentence, is that, I know that's true, but like,
All sick leave benefit or employer
don't-
sponsors discharge.
right, is there no like payouts or anything?
yeah. Or
Yeah,
is that
there's no-
always upon each case basis, or like I felt like that last sentence is sticky compared to like, maybe, I don't know.
I mean, they
Data or resignation.
cancel, well,
You- A payout would need to be on that data as well.
yeah, but yeah, we don't pay out
Yeah.
sick leave benefits.
Okay, so it's
Right.
only like vacation stuff, okay.
Vacation stuff, and then sometimes we'll do some, like we've done some other special case, like retirement thing or something else like that, but
Okay.
we've never paid
But
out
it's,
sick.
but it doesn't impact sick.
No, no, we've
Okay,
never looked
that's
at
what I just
sick.
wanted to
Yeah,
make
yeah,
sure.
yeah, we've never done.
So they
we've never
can't,
paid out sick.
that can't be used as a negotiation type of thing, okay.
And yeah, I think that's just presumably that just when you,
When you're gone, you don't, you lose it all. Okay.
But you could send it over to another.
You can, right? You can donate it.
well,
Well,
and
generally-
it's-
Like even when I came from the ESD, right?
Oh, no, that's true. Mine
yes, you
was
can
when I
trans,
moved.
you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
transfer between districts, yes,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
law.
Yeah.
But I'm also wondering, so all sick leave benefits are out and canceled on the date an employee resigns. Is that the date that they submit their resignation?
No.
I think it's when they're.
And so they can't,
effectively resigned.
well, and so
Yeah,
they
but
can't
I'm-
say, I resign in 2 weeks, and
I'm gonna use that
We're
14
using all
sick
these
leave.
to make those 2 weeks.
from now till then.
Yeah,
Maybe
Right.
that's what this is intended to.
I know, because that's a good question, because you could get more, you could get a lot accrued and then just.
I think
Yes.
you're right.
When you
Uh,
submit your resignation.
Yeah,
But that shouldn't be, because you could, like, you could submit and say, I'm resigning in, you know, at the end of this school
End
year.
of the school year.
Yeah.
and I am getting
You
a
might
sick
get
in there.
sick, you
Yeah,
I mean, granted, we have that second, third, whatever, third paragraph, you know, if you're using more than 3 consecutive days, we can require proof of.
sure.
Yeah,
And
I don't think
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can.
I think it's,
I mean, if somebody wants to
Yeah.
say I'm resigning in 2 weeks and use their sick leave, they can technically say that.
Right.
And you can use other.
And that happens.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Or people will go on, in the banking world, this happens all the time, go on maternity leave.
yeah.
So you can use all your time and come back and take 2 weeks in.
Yeah.
I mean, hey,
Yeah.
otherwise they lose it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, power to you, they'll be home, go home, be home.
Mhm.
So,
Well, see, what's great is using up your 12 weeks of PLO, well,
yeah,
use up your 12 weeks of PLO first.
Mhm.
no, it's,
Yeah,
And then.
our system isn't the best system. So
Yeah, that's
I
the
was
thing,
more
you
like,
get that.
I was like, more power to you, mama, do your thing. bank will still be here. Okay, I mean, I think you're right about the policy needing to be in place so that the agreements are
Yeah,
not ever.
In all honesty, it's making me think it shouldn't be in the bargaining agreement. Because if law changes, let's say a law changes that impacts this, we know to update the policy, we have people helping us. keep
Otherwise,
that
then we have
up
to go
date.
do that
Yeah.
and not
That's how
forget.
things get out of
Alignment,
alignment,
yeah.
is having it in two spots that aren't being checked for.
Right.
and
So
I-
in the agreements,
Yeah.
you just say refer to this.
I think that's what we should do.
For sick leave
Oh,
benefits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
refer to,
Look for our leave policy,
yeah,
and
yeah,
our
yeah.
sick policy, or our PTO policy, whatever.
Yeah.
That's probably a good idea,
Yeah.
because this is the one that will change if something changes.
Yeah.
And then you
Well-
didn't forget to go do something.
And we did
And-
some of that with the PLO,
Maybe
right,
we
with the new
included- some
laws, we
people
said.
don't
check.
go, the nice thing about it being a bargaining agreement, some people don't go to
Yeah.
the policies.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like that's
put
something
it
that might
in
keep.
there.
Yeah.
Like, and
Right.
here is that policy, so you
Right.
know what our.
And, I mean, you could
They don't
put
keep
that
that
as an
binder at home
amendment.
and.
We could put that as an amendment to the.
Every night.
Just put that in there as like, you know, not
Learn
an
that,
amendment,
man.
but attachment to the agreements.
Yeah.
So that they're with the agreements, these
Yeah.
policies are with the agreements, and have a clause in the agreement that says if the policy
Yeah.
changes, the agreement has to align with the policy.
So maybe that,
Well, and in our last negotiations, yeah, I changed a couple of the leave sections that were related to FMLA and OFLA and
Because it was all
stuff.
Yeah.
And
changing
just
now.
said,
Yeah,
Yes.
we will adhere to the
To law.
law.
Yes,
and
yeah,
stuff
that's-
instead of-
yeah, this is one worth checking to make sure we're saying that the same, next time we update
Yeah.
to say,
Yeah.
we're aligned to our policy on this,
Right.
and which is
and the
aligned
policy
to
is
law.
aligned with the law.
yeah,
So that's gonna need to be the next one too then. the-
Yeah.
Well,
that
and
would
I
be-
wonder if also on this, if we need to put in a proration note on that first
Mm.
sentence, because accrue at the rate of 10 days each year, if,
or you mean like if someone got hired in January?
yeah,
Yeah,
they don't get,
then maybe it just should just say 1 day per month, like the second sentence says. I mean, that's just saying,
yeah,
I mean, you could just honestly say 1 day per month. If you're a full-time, you're gonna, or if you're a 12-month employee, you're gonna get 12. If you're a school year one, you only get 10.
yeah.
Mhm.
You worked 10 months out of the. I guess
1 day per month worked.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, how do you say, I mean, you work a tiny bit in August and some in June. So you technically only don't work in July, but like, you count June, not really August, right? So, yeah.
This is first grade, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
You wanna?
Do you wanna play with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Find us something stuff.
Cool.
Because, I don't know if we need to say, because we'll accrue, yeah, just mentioning, you know, that it's front-loaded, you know, the
Mhm.
start of, because,
It's true.
I mean, some districts I've seen talking on the business manager thing, you know, if an employee leaves halfway through the year and that they've used up their
Oh,
10 days
Yeah.
and stuff,
Daily.
do you charge, and I'm like, no, I mean, you gave them,
Yeah.
I've worked in places where that it's not true.
Yeah.
yeah.
That you owe it back, they take it out of your
take it out of your
last
last paycheck.
But I mean, that said, accrue at a prorated rate so that you never have more than you. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, unless you give them, unless they accrue it at 1 day, unless we set it to
To only
Yeah.
give them 1 day
a
every month.
Yeah.
You get a day a month. So that'd have to go into negotiations and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, and also then like, you know, you can get sick in January, but January you need more than 1 day.
Yeah, but then by then, I guess what you're thinking is they didn't take it in September and October and November, and then they'd have like 40s in January when you're really sick, but, you know, it's
We're
like,
small enough, it's not
it's not a
Yeah.
big deal.
impacting us here. I don't think it
Yeah.
needs to, like,
Yeah.
your answer of, oh,
Yeah, I think that
I believe
works.
in
When I-
taking care of my.
when I worked in large
Yeah,
organizations
exactly.
and it starts adding up,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
look at it.
Right.
But
But,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, if you were in huge places where that was a problem, but it's not.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so family medical leave, do we have to worry about any certain things like that then?
Bargaining, excuse me, bargaining, we said we'll follow the law. I
Okay,
know
so
we
it
get
refers
there.
to this, okay.
Yeah, and I thought this one was fairly new. Cause they updated the.
2017.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
They updated all of these laws.
They updated the family leave in 22.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's when we were doing bargaining and said,
Oh,
we'll
that's
follow,
right.
so
Ish.
wonder, this might be one that we double check somebody who's done it
More recently.
recently and
Yeah.
then make sure that
Oh,
this is actually
this.
mine. Let me
The next one.
Oh, yeah, that's the family, yeah, FMLA, they updated.
Oh,
that
so
one in
this
22.
is the one in 22, the
Yeah,
next page is.
sorry, Yeah,
Okay.
so this last one, family medical leave wasn't updated in 2022, but family leave was.
And it's a century
Oh,
long.
the AR,
Yeah.
yeah, oh, okay, so the AR was updated.
Oh, I see.
Oh, what's the date on the AR? I moved away
It's
from that.
2020.
22, for
Okay.
2022.
So we're probody good there.
Yeah.
I
I
just
see.
Because this is that
That's what it
14-page one, and I would like everyone to read this now.
Out loud.
Yeah. Everybody take 2 paragraphs. Go around robin it.
I'm sick, my throat
Speaking of sick child leave.
Do you have a fever?
Because everybody had an emergency.
I need to
plan.
document you for tomorrow.
That could be
And this is all just the law. This is all
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oregon law.
it's just,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jeez.
okay. So we don't really have to worry about that, right?
No.
And flip those 14 pages over.
We're good.
Yep.
I like it. The request for family and medical leave, that goes with those ones, right? Like
Yeah,
these are,
it's-
this isn't like
If they are,
what you turn into Jaren or turn into Carly or Jamie, right? This is a big one.
yeah.
Okay.
which one?
The
They are
next
too.
2,
There are two, yeah.
yeah,
Oh, the request, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
And really, I mean, we haven't required this really, and it's, I mean, it says failure to request leave in a timely manner could result in either the leave being postponed or leave, so. Well, it says if it's anticipated, the written request must be made,
If practical.
yeah, at least 30 days prior.
Correct. Yeah. I think that if practical gives you a lot of leeway for,
Yeah, I mean, it's like time surgery
Mhm.
versus if it's an accident.
yeah.
For additional accident.
And yet, the big thing for these is tracking, making sure someone's, because you have so many weeks of OFLA,
Yeah.
you have so many weeks of
Mhm.
family, you have so
Yeah.
many weeks of PLO, and making sure someone's not using 12 weeks of that, and then using 12 weeks of that, and then 12 weeks of that, and, you know,
Mm-hmm.
trying to extend, whereas you're probably using them all at the same time for a lot of
Yeah.
things and stuff, and
But
so,
if someone had something long-term, they can use all of them or no? Can they not use them
If-
consecutively?
if they're for the same type of thing,
Yeah,
then you're using them, we can say you're using them for all at the same time. It wouldn't be up to the employee to say, I'm only using FMLA right now, I'm not using OFLA. Unless, well, what you could do to get around that is if, because there's things that you can use OFLA for that you can't use FEMLA for. And so if you started off using something out of OFLA that wasn't FEMLA
mm,
qualifying, then you could shift and extend. But once again, it's unpaid leave, other than they can use their sick leave during that time and stuff.
okay,
But it, I don't know.
It's
Once-
actually job longer if.
yeah,
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
yeah,
okay,
assuming it was for a good reason.
Yeah.
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 Okay, and then the eligibility notice to employee. It's just,
So, yeah, this is just us giving to them saying, we received your request and
Okay.
we used this.
Go leave, right?
Yeah. And the thing is, these, I don't know that we have an update for them that relates to paid leave Oregon, which really should tie in with all of this. And so,
Sorry, side note real quick, the overarching one, the policy, not the ARs, does say federal and state leave entitlements generally run concurrently. And I
Okay.
checked it with another district that's done this more recently, and the language is exactly the same.
Okay.
So, and then sorry, Jaren, I almost tracked that, but you said,
it should be, I don't know, really paid leave Oregon should be
in this section,
tied in here, I feel like.
I was looking at this section has well, let me go to Mapleton's, I'm on somebody else's, but. Sorry, give me a second here. What are the letters again? G, C, D, A.
GCDDA.
There we go. It's just like 7 ARs in this section.
Yeah.
There's family leave, request for family and medical leave, certification of healthcare provider, FMLA and OFLA eligibility notice to employee, sample designation letter to employee FMLA, OFL, okay.
Well, and actually, maybe PLO isn't part of it because
It's
paid leave Oregon's not up to us at all. So
Right.
that
So it
would
doesn't
make
need to be-
sense that
okay.
it doesn't matter to
okay.
us in particular. It's, yeah.
And all the ones we have seem to match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these all look wonderful. You're doing a very good job.
Okay. Perfect. So we're on retirement of staff, right?
Yeah. Good book.
This one does not roll off the tongue.
Good book.
No.
Just,
What does the last sentence of that one mean? Like I thought when someone leaves, or do you report it to FERS for?
yes. Well, and it only matters for tier 1, tier 2. We
Oh,
report it because it helps them. Opposite doesn't matter.
oh, okay.
So, but yeah, we,
So it becomes not your problem then? Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. That seems, I like that short and sweet
Yeah, that
one.
one.
That's a, all things should be that long.
Yeah.
Yes.
Instructional assistance, yeah, I mean, we adhere to the need.
So instructional assistants who work in title have to have different,
Yeah. That's title rules.
oh, so if they don't have those things, then they, yeah.
We've talked about
They have to
Yeah,
have,
we have
what that assessment
we have
plan
a-
should be.
local, yeah. If someone hasn't got that number 1 or number 2, we
okay, so like they don't have, so they don't have all of these and they don't have to have 1 or 2, they can do 3.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we've
Alright.
done that in one case. And ultimately, I don't actually think we needed to, but we let the person know
okay.
we did it. But, because you have to provide instructional support, and sometimes the people are providing more behavioral support than
Mm-hmm.
title instructional support specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, we've had some people come in that don't meet this 1 and 2, but
Mm-hmm.
demonstrate.
Okay,
the ability.
that's what I was gonna say, they can do it by experience or demonstrate, okay, cool. Okay, any questions or things on that last one? Guys, okay. Did it. Okay. So if no one has any other questions on that, we'll move to 7.3.
We'll have a little puzzle here, because I have to recuse myself from this one.
It's true.
So we don't.
Oh, we didn't think about that
Yeah,
one.
we didn't, I didn't think about it.
To next month.
Yeah, we'll just move the certified one to
Yeah.
next month.
Because we don't have a second or. Yep.
On a positive note, I remembered that we left somebody off last year and we did not move them off. Good. That was a funny phone call. I was
Yeah.
like, what? No, that was an accident.
Okay,
You could
so,
always move and then just recuse yourself
Oh, in the vote.
from the vote.
oh,
I mean, I don't feel good about that. I'd rather just like stay hands on.
We don't need it right now, right? Yeah, we can.
no, we can do that one later.
Okay.
Okay, so personnel hiring.
So 2 positions, the one listed early childhood intervention coordinator, Jess, comes to us from EC Cares and has experience in higher education, teaching, early childhood stuff, like, we're excited, so. And then the other position is the food, I keep forgetting the name of it.
Food systems coordinator.
Thank you. Food system coordinator, that one we posted, it's a 1.0 grant funded temporary position. Made that very clear in posting that it's temporary, had some very strong candidates, and making sure I don't say anything that I can't say. We asked in the interview process if they were open to part-time and splitting, because the duties, there's like, we're looking for strong kitchen side and process and getting systems going, and strong garden, education side, like, anyway, there's 2 parts. We have very strong candidates. One of those we offered today and accepted is Kamari Muller, and Kamari has worked with us over the last year, connected to the farmers markets, and anyway, very excited. And then the second one, I tried to make the offer today and could not get a hold of them. So,
Okay, that
we
kind of
can't move on
clarifies,
that
because I
one.
was like, why the split
Yeah,
position?
It makes
Yeah.
sense that it's 2 sort of different expertise
and
areas.
we talked about it with every candidate in the interview, that like, we may get a unicorn with all of this who wants to do it 1.0 and has all, and we recognized early that this actually we may benefit from a team approach with the splitting it in any way, and that we're considering that in the process. So we landed on 2.5s that we're excited about. Can I pause there for action on those 2 and then ask a question about how to take
Yeah.
action on the other one
Sure.
in terms of process?
Okay, so I entertain a motion for those 2 hirings.
So I move that we hire Jessica, Rita, and Kamari Muller in 7.4.
A second.
All those in favor? Okay.
And then, like, it's hard to, I'm just trying to make sure I don't.
Like you're wanting
Talk
to
about
approve
who
the
it is.
hiring of
That's the
other
real
position
question.
rather than
Well,
the person in that
So
position?
you guys should approve them before they start in a position.
Yeah.
I don't know, we've hired people
We,
before.
we have in different situations had them
Board
start and then
approves
board
it.
approve
Yeah.
later. What is your preference? I don't, and without, yeah, I think, yeah.
I mean, I think if we know you have the strong candidate, then, I mean, maybe kind of like what you were saying, or we just say, fine, we'll approve it in March, I mean, or we do like what, I think what I was overhearing you say.
Oh, yeah, I was saying that we go ahead and approve a hire into that spot.
Yeah.
And then, and name it now, and then next month we would name
You can
that
tell us who
hire.
it is.
I like that if people are open
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
Can do that. Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Okay,
then we're saying like, okay, we know this is a one-year grant funded, we know you have the money, and here's
Yeah.
where the money's coming from.
and you've
Like,
explained like
we've
the
explained
interview
why
process.
we're hiring like this, so like, that
Yeah,
makes
I like that.
sense, and, you know, we're not gonna review their application resume anyway,
Yeah.
because you have, so.
Yeah, we don't,
Yeah.
yeah, we're not doing much different.
No.
Kate, you should move and say all of what you just said.
No, I'm not, I never can do that, I'm never gonna say anything again. But, I do move that we, approve, so this would be like a 7.5.
Sure.
I move that we approve, a 0.5 food systems coordinator hire, or somebody hired into that position, to be named in March, in the March meeting.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
And I can send that as a board update to you guys on who it is. I can do it before
Yeah.
March, just.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, we're moving the first discussion item till hopefully next month. Well, we'll just do it next month. Facilities planning concerns, anyone have anything? I only saw the lights dance a little bit these last few weeks. Basketball.
I never noticed in basketball as much as I noticed in volleyball.
Volleyball it is.
It's getting better though.
It is
like,
getting
there was
better.
one day in a middle school tournament that the one over the right side of the bleachers started going. And I feel like it hadn't happened in so long, people talked about it.
Probably,
Like, what's
yeah.
Does
I
that make
agree.
sense? When
I
it
agree
happened
because I
all the
was
time,
one
it
of-
was like.
One of the high school games, it popped up. I don't remember senior night or like the game before. And we hadn't been talking about it.
Yeah.
And so someone pointed out, I'm like, man, you should really tell someone about that. You don't have to tell me, but you should tell somebody about that. I think there's a guy sitting behind me a little bit.
Yeah.
He replaces light bulbs.
But we did something.
Yeah, Randy swapped out a bunch of the
Yeah.
number of.
And it seems to be
Yeah, it does
working,
seem way
so
better. Yeah.
as we,
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's exciting.
So it may just be that those ones now are getting older, like there's another old one
Maybe.
or something.
But they're at least not seizuristic yet.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it was a scorekeeper and they're like, oh, I remember being here and they were telling me like, it causes, I don't know what they were telling me, but it was definitely a point of making sure I knew about it kind of thing, and I was like, oh, well, we know. So we're working on it, it really has been a while.
We're in this
And
gym
then
more
they
than you are.
said, actually, we've been here the last couple of weeks and this is the first one I've seen. And I was
Right.
like, yes.
Yeah.
So
Perfect.
that was what it was.
And then I think in January you had mentioned that like some stuff had been changed to help with the electric.
Yeah.
And has that, and I wasn't here February, so has that been, because we've had
tested it this past 3
concessions.
weeks.
Yeah, no, I think
Yes.
it's going really
I mean-
well. They can house everything inside of there now.
Yeah.
Now
The only
it's-
time they've been outside is when they had too much going on, right? Like
Yeah.
the cotton candy thing. One time they had the popcorn machine out by the stairway door, but
It wasn't because they needed to for
No,
like.
well,
For like room or something.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And sometimes line, like cotton candies because of line.
Yeah.
We move that over.
Because I mean, everything's indoors and
Yeah.
there's so much concessions these last couple months. I'm like, I hope it's been going good.
Yeah.
And just a chance to shout out, Kelsey and Cassie are
They
leading
rocked
that.
it.
They were
Rocked it.
amazing.
They rocked it.
Absolutely.
I'd say,
amazing.
yeah, we're disappointed last night though.
Good that it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause I'm like,
Yeah.
they were like, well, it's only one game. I'm like, but it was the boys game and it was Triangle Lake. I'm
Wasn't
like,
it a playoff?
We had,
it was like a It wasn't a playoff.
It was the
It was the
district playoff last year.
Yeah.
So we.
It's like a game that kind of doesn't make sense.
Two plays three, yeah, don't get me
So it's
started.
like a
When the
playoff.
distance is that far, but whatever.
Two plays
Playing.
three.
Yeah.
Well, but we did concessions for the tiebreaker game, that wasn't us. I think the problem last night is anybody available wanted to see.
Oh, yeah,
somebody
true, that's
play,
true,
and
yeah,
that
yeah.
We just
Oh,
didn't, we
yeah.
didn't have enough notice for when it was.
They requested to have a monitor, something.
Oh, yes.
Put in the
Oh,
yes.
concession
Oh,
stand
no,
so
we
that
have-
they could.
I don't think that's a terrible idea.
We have all sorts of things we want up there.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like, also a soft serve ice cream machine. Yes. And we can sell soft
Okay, Cassie is really trying to work on that one, I
Hey,
think.
she got me.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm on it.
But, I do agree, if it, like, and I will say this, because schools I went to, like when we were in LeGrand and when we, or in Union and we went to other places, like, there was a small, big, flat screen TV out there that like anyone working out in that lobby concession area could see.
That's
So
right.
like,
I didn't.
if there was a TV screen with NFHS on,
You
Yeah.
can stand like
that would
over and
be
watch it.
cool, and, I mean, especially for parents, then if you had to overlap, or, I mean, besides parents, anyone else, but,
Yes.
it is cool.
Yeah, that's true too on the inside
Yeah.
there. And then I think the other one that they were talking about was having there's a display you can have that you can put your
Oh,
prices
this
on.
stuff.
And so like, it's an
Oh.
electronic display.
Yeah,
of
like
your
Mohawk
prices.
has
Yeah,
that.
Mohawk has that.
Mohawk has that, which I don't know, I mean, and I'd say give them the view of the game.
Yeah,
First.
I would too,
And
yeah.
like, and I think maybe that would help, like, well, I mean, I work with Carrie a lot on that NFHS thing, just because, well, my family watches, but my brother lives in Seattle, so he watches everything on it. Sometimes I feel like I'm annoying, but then she kinda likes
No,
it.
Yeah.
my mom is that person
Oh,
now,
oh,
so
okay, good, okay, so I'm not the only one then.
we will
I
probably
like
be
that.
taking over.
Yeah, you'll
for
take
you.
over. But, and he'll be texting me as the game's starting, like, it still says it's delayed, I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, shut up, and I'm gonna watch the game for now, but then I'll go tell Carrie. So, I mean, that is one way to monitor it too.
Yeah, if it's
But-
playing in there, you
Yeah.
know it's working.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
True.
Yeah.
so maybe if that's not hard.
I don't know if the school, because, I don't know, I don't do the whatever.
Come on, you love acronyms.
NFHS.
There we go.
Nefarious,
Infamous.
I don't do it because I don't care about sports.
What did you just say?
He said, "Go
Just
Sailors."
say
Yeah.
back to everyone.
He said, did you know T Lake beat Mohawk tonight?
But whoever brought it up, having the screen was like, they said, I could log into my account, but then if my family's trying to log in,
Yeah.
I can't be logged in.
No,
No, well, I
So-
think it would have to be a school
It
account.
have to be a school account.
Yeah.
Very, well, yeah,
Yes, because we have.
I
a
think
school
we have one
account.
that we kind
Unless
of
I,
share out when needed. I don't know if
I
that's the
think
schools or
so.
parents, but that one we
Well, like I
share
know,
when we
like
need to.
Morgan's talked about that, so I don't know.
We can
Like
have
they-
a.
We can have a school one,
We
and
can have
it's
that.
like,
$11 a month.
$11 a
Yes.
month, and you can cancel it on seasons that you don't.
Yeah, you can only run it,
Yeah.
basically, yeah, just
so
in any.
unless I put just set security cameras up and just.
You can see
run
quite a
security
bit from it,
cameras.
just to let you
No,
know.
it's
I could
true.
put special
On nights
ones
I'm
up,
tired, I'm like, is practice over? Right? And I pull it up on my phone.
set the audio to be on there too, so then you can have audio on it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that would be a
That would
cool
be a
thing to
great-
give for people
I love it.
working
That would
in
be an
there.
awesome upgrade.
Yes.
I
love
just
it.
need someone to email me so I remember.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll email you.
Yes.
I love it.
And along with, speaking of concessions, I'll just mention it because I find it kind of funny and stuff. So, a couple of months ago, I don't know if it was Kelsey who had asked about, or maybe it was Carrie, had asked about, can staff just charge,
Yeah.
and keep track of
Yes, we can.
family? And I was like, sure. Take it out of their paycheck.
Now Jared knows how much.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah,
Yep. Every once in a while I go and try to pay it and we're flipping back to like 10 different pages that all has Burris on there. I'm like,
yeah. So,
Now
so
that
yeah,
both
we
my kids
had,
go here,
Yeah.
and my other ones just like.
You're building
"Cartoons
food all the
along."
time. huh?
It's so bad they come check with me now.
Yeah.
Because they're like, Rowan's ordering more food. I'm like,
yeah.
tell them no.
So, yeah, the check the transfer I just did to the high school for last month's was like 600 something.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, and you just take it out of their check?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like,
That's a nice way to do it. It's nice that we're small enough that you're so nice to do that.
it is
Very
very
nice.
nice.
Yes.
It is great.
Yeah, because I do for their lunch, well, I save their lunch charges until the end of the year, so.
Yeah.
Right, pay it out of there.
But,
Yeah, don't do concessions and lunch the same check.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
We
we
might,
touched it.
we might not be able to.
Like, oh my god, I didn't get paid.
Yeah.
It's all free.
Our staff are
I'm hungry now 'cause I
supporting
wasn't
the
hungry then.
concessions. so-
Yes.
I love it, that's
That's
great.
cool though.
Cool, I'm
It's-
glad all of that, and it's been so successful, I just, every time I come, it's just like.
It's been smooth this year,
It's
like,
been-
the-
yeah.
last night it didn't run, like, but even, I mean, we hosted, what, 3 weeks of middle
Oh,
school
yeah.
tournaments?
3 weeks.
It was a
Open
high
the whole
school one in
time.
December and then.
And Coffee Cart runs it until they can't staff it, and then the concessions can still do Italian sodas and a couple
Yeah.
of coffee or something, and so like, it's working in tandem. It's been
Yeah, it's been awesome.
really nice this year.
Yep,
Yeah.
yes, and that's definitely Kelsey and
Yeah.
Cassie, and lots of other people working in there too, but.
Yeah,
they're
they're
the
very
organizers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, keeping everything in there. Yeah, it's been nice.
Mhm.
And during, like, I was really worried because we were getting the basketball season, it's like, we're gonna be using this.
Oh, a
all
ton, and it got used way more than
That
we
we've
even
been
thought.
before in a long,
Yeah, like there was a lot,
Just
so.
during volleyball, it was just
Yep.
a mess.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my only question I
Yeah.
had, because I wasn't here last month to ask.
And then, I don't remember what we were saying totally, the athletic participation contract.
And I said I would find out what other
feel like
districts
this
are
is still,
charging,
like-
and I didn't do it.
It
So,
was kind of a crazy last few days since we talked to you,
yeah,
so.
if we,
I think we were just trying to figure out, like,
Do we
has it
keep-
just been sitting on there?
Yeah.
Like, if there's gonna be, like, when does it
Do we
move
need to take action or not?
Or do we
Yeah.
need to take action?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
if it was gonna be how much do other districts charge? Because we don't wanna discourage people from doing it,
yeah.
but we also want to discourage people from quitting.
And the
So, like,
districts that I know offhand, so many districts moved to no fees,
Mhm.
and their
Yeah.
participation went way up.
Yeah,
So like, I just can't answer that for every district, but I worked with a lot of them that went into their SIAs and stuff. I was working with them at that point. So it's this question of like, but no fees gets us to the numbers we have, which we know is a positive, but then if you're quitting partway through and we're
Yeah.
actually losing money, is there a way to, and I don't know the answer. I love the intent of the idea, I don't know if there's a way to enact it. So,
So that's what we're kind of leaving it on there for, and just,
there's a few other schools struggling to get numbers for football specifically. Let me call them
cool.
and just have it, like, have you guys considered this? Is it something you would consider? Because I am almost certain those schools also don't charge sports fees. I think I'm correct on that. And so like, do they even, when they hear the idea, are they like, oh, that might help us? Or is it like, nah?
Yeah, or we thought about it and no, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, state testing, do we have anything on that? No.
We left it on here because you and Michelle weren't here. I don't have any updates since last month, but see if I remember last month. When I had the Division 22 meetings and the thing about going to the state board for the other two, they also brought up that we're out of compliance for state testing. They were checking in with DOJ on their own internal language to see if they have an argument that we're out of, like, that they can even move to action, and they're keeping us informed. So they're kind of at this point of like, hey, you get a year to correct, you submitted the same thing, you haven't changed it. we are supposed to take action on that. We're asking DOJ what that looks like. And then I said, will you give us an update as you go through that?
Okay.
And I haven't heard anything since then. What was the other piece of that? Parent, yeah, so I asked them if, oh, it was the form. So we don't use the opt-out form that's required, but we call every parent. And I was like, so when we call the parents and they don't opt in, could we fill out the opt-out form? Could it be on a phone call, we either fill out this form or this form based on their answer? And they just said, well, we don't oversee other forms. And I was like, right, but if we filled out the opt-out form in those calls and kept those on file like we're supposed to, would we be in compliance?
Yeah.
And they didn't say yes or no.
That's what they're checking on with you.
I think so. So it was
Yeah.
kind of like, and they're nice, like they understand where we're at, and we're trying to see,
Okay.
can we enact this in a way, and there was this question of like, so are you gonna change the policy? I said, well, not at this point, like that hasn't come up, like you guys are the ones coming to us on this, but we have changed our enactment of that policy to be as in line with the law as we are reading it, right? And so I think there was acknowledgement of we're all working together trying to figure out how to do this. So when I hear something, I will let you know. But I have not heard anything since that call. And I'll just but I want to make sure Michelle knows that one, so we can just keep this on. It's a nice reminder that this is still a thing, especially when they don't call me, because out of sight, out of mind. So.
Yeah. Okay. And no other public comment, Sharon?
No.
Okay. And comments from the board?
I just have one question. I don't actually know if it's a board question, but I think it might be just like from an overarching thing. We do student IDs, right, for high school and middle school? It's not part of like the registration process.
No.
How do students do they just come to you to do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not the same way anymore because we don't use Life Touch.
Not students, and I still need we were
Yeah.
shooting for having staff start wearing them, but
So,
some high school, a bunch of high school people
yeah.
are
I guess
slackers.
the reason I bring it up is a couple of reasons. One is like having, staff wearing ID would be helpful just with like, just knowing who's on campus should be and who shouldn't be. But also students, it's come up a few times for middle schoolers too, and I know a lot of middle schools don't do student IDs. It doesn't really start until high school, but since we're middle high school, I think we can make an argument for having middle schoolers too. When it comes to events where there is, like free for school with ID or discounted tickets for like the Holt Center to go to an arts event or something, and kids don't have those. So it's just almost like an access thing. Also, kids that might need to do a proof of name to get like a state ID or something like that. Just that student ID piece is something that could help our kids.
Yeah,
So
we definitely can.
I was just wondering if it's like, at first I didn't know what we did already, but I was just wondering if maybe we could like push that into like our registration process instead of it being just like, if you want one, come see me, to actually have it be like, you register on these 3 days and you come get your picture taken and we have your ID, and those kids who don't come, we do that in the first week of school kind of thing. And then do something for staff as well.
I think that's cool now that this is the way we have to do their IDs, was the way Jaren started doing it this year,
Right,
I think that's a
the
good
light touch
idea.
thing when
Because it prints it, can you print it in that moment? I don't remember how it works. Or does it make sense to take them all and then print them all in batch?
Try to know when they come to school.
Yeah, they can have them.
Well, because you have to bring two at a time, because my thing takes two in at a time and stuff. and
Okay.
stuff.
Okay.
So at least they can have their picture done, and then when they come to school, then they could get them that first
They
week.
could do like,
Yeah.
get their locker combo and get their picture taken at the same time or something, like kind of just put it in the process, would be cool.
There is a
And
lot
then
of
it's
things,
also-
like even, I think even sometimes like ordering dresses from different
Yeah.
websites. Like,
Yes.
if you have a student ID.
Yeah, or, you know, like going to, support their friends at Sayus Law.
That was what was
That was-
starting
that's
at
what
the
we
beginning of the year, was the kids going to the football games,
Mhm.
they couldn't, you know, they didn't have it, so.
Yeah, so, yeah, just little things like that, or I, you know, like to take kids to the, like the ballet or to Broadway shows at the whole, and I can get a different
Yeah.
price. But you have to take a picture.
Yeah.
I need to prove when you order online, and so I have to wait and go to the box office, so, and then I like say, look at her, she's right.
She clearly is.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, but with Ramil, it's harder to
Yeah.
prove it.
Yeah,
Anyway,
Well,
didn't mean to
one-
say names, but.
One thing with it also that I probably need to look into more is, because like you said, they can use this, they can use a student ID as part of getting a government ID.
Yeah.
And,
If it has like their full name.
and so I'm thinking they need to have their full legal name. And that is a sticking point.
Right, totally.
Well, if they don't use their full legal name and they go to the DMV and it doesn't match their other proof, then it just, it wouldn't work in that
Well, and that's
case.
typically-
And
like, I know
that's
what-
just-
my school, we tend to like, I'm like, okay, but I want you to know you're going to see things that say your legal name, and there's nothing I can do about that.
Right,
And then
exactly.
the student and the parent is like, yes, we know that,
Yeah.
that's okay,
Yeah,
like.
so there's just an
Well,
extra
and-
layer of conversation.
Yeah.
Like for certificates, we sometimes print two right, just for acknowledging attendance or something, we print two certificates, legal name and preferred name. I wonder if we could do something like that with ID where here's one with your legal name on it in
That
case
you
you
use
ever
every
get
day.
this, and here's the one that you carry
And you can
anywhere.
go and get into
And you
games.
go to the
or
game at
whatever.
Sayus Law. Yeah.
Okay, that's a great option.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, with, you know, with, our situation, it's just, our kids are tribal, so they could use their tribal ID, but we were just kind of like, what do we do? And I was like, what do the kids at Mapleton do? If they go somewhere to like get their, because most kids, you know, you don't get your first ID until your permit,
Mhm.
but we should probably remedy this soon.
Yeah.
Just something that has a photo ID with their name on it, just will help them lower some barriers, I think.
Yeah.
Cool, thank you.
For a semi-related update, talked to Garrett this morning. There's a date coming out for picture retakes. They had all this stuff, but anybody who didn't get a picture and or needs a retake, that's coming out. And then they're working behind the scenes to organize all the, each child's photo into a folder. And then those originals, I don't know what that's called, files will be shared to each family, so everybody will get theirs, and there's a opportunity to order prints. The kids have done research on where it makes sense to order the prints through, so families can order through us, just doing the at cost connected to that.
That is cool.
But then you can get the original and go print your own if you want to.
That's great.
So,
So cool.
it's a slower process because one, it's new for us and it's coming through classes that, you know, like they don't do this for a living. And I think once we get it off the ground once and have that process and kind of fine tune it, it'll get faster. And we've talked about doing senior photos and family photo events where like a lot of our students don't have access to high quality photos of themselves. And so this is something
That's
we're
so
working
cool.
towards.
I
So
love it.
it was a great conversation, a great update. So,
That's
I had one question, I don't know if this is like the good place to ask for it or not. I saw in like the Gear Up surveys that they do, like, as I read through it, I was just kind of wondering what that entailed. Cause I was just like, oh, like, do not start this survey until after you've seen this entire slideshow, and I was like, why? Like what? So I don't know, like I just thought, that's just an email, I think that we.
that went out to students?
I think
or-
It went to
so.
us too. It went
Yeah,
to
so
us
we
too.
get it, but then I was like, okay, well,
As
it
parents.
just made me think as a parent. Not
I
only
think
got
it-
it as a parent.
Any chance we just use the staff email
Yes,
to send it out?
I think it was the staff.
I think it was.
I think it's just because we're included on the staff.
Yeah.
It was, but then it made me think.
Right. But I
As a
think my,
parent.
when
I can tell you that, well, go
I,
ahead.
I looked at that too, and my assumption was it was because they wanted the students to do it correctly, to like
Yeah.
understand the survey and take it correctly and not, that was my assumption, but I don't know. if
Yeah, and
true.
that's kind of maybe what I thought. Then I just wondered, well, then what was the survey about?
I can generally answer all of this, and then
Yeah.
if any specifics, I need Kay, but,
They're taking that in success class, I think they did that this week already, and because we send that email to their emails first, what we
Yeah.
don't want is, oh, I got my email, I clicked it and did it, and then they
Yeah.
process-wise do something wrong or so that they did a quick overview of the survey and process and a reminder of what Gear Up is, like, we talk about it, it becomes like a, I was gonna say like a four-letter word, but maybe that's not the right way to describe that, not a bad four-letter word, but like, it becomes like an acronym where it's like, oh yeah, Gear Up's this thing. A lot of kids have gone to Gear Up camp, they know, they talk about that, we do Gear Up days, they have t-shirts, they have some of those things, so for the most part they know, but what we don't want is, like, if there's a question on, there's something like, how has Gear Up improved college-going culture on your campus? If they can't remember what Gear Up is, we don't want them answering that question until there's a quick overview in success class about, hey, all of these things that you do are Gear Up, and then they can go answer the question because they have the context. So that was the reason
Sure.
for that statement, is like, don't take this before you're supposed to in class. But we send them out early, because if we don't send it until class time,
They don't get
something
it.
always goes wrong and they can't do the survey that day. So
Yeah.
that was the timing of that. The survey itself, there's a lot, I think last year, I can find the aggregated data from last year. I think I shared that in a board meeting last year as
think you
part
might
of
have.
something. But it's like, there's questions about like, are you, what are you interested in doing after high school, right? And I think there's one that's like, see if I can remember how that's worded. Do your teachers believe that you're capable of college level work, right? Things like that, and anyway, different things, and then they aggregate that, and there's however many Gear Up schools, which I don't know offhand, I think it's like 12 right now. They have that average, and then they have the national average for these questions, and then your school level, so you can kind of see how are your students thinking about post-secondary experiences. So I don't know if we have a lot of times I like to send surveys out to families so they know what kids are, like the belonging one, I'll send that
Yeah, that's
out.
what I wondered when I read it. I was
This
just like,
one,
what is even-
it's in Qualtrics. I just don't know if we have a version of it that is like easily shareable because it comes from the Gear Up people, but I can
Yeah.
ask Kay that and share it out.
Well, because and then it was so heavily grade attached on there. Like, you have to do this.
Oh, there's like-
because you-
Oh,
because I was
so
like, oh,
here's
guess
why.
what? My kid was graded that day,
Yeah, so here's why. It's, they want, this morning Kay said, she had told staff 80%, like,
They need a
we
percentage
have a
participation.
requirement as a Gear Up school to get at least X percent. At one point she told staff 80, but then we were in a meeting this morning, she's like, I said 80, but it's actually 90, and then we were leaving, she's like, I mean 100, and it was really funny, just, Kay wants
Yeah.
every kid to take it so
Yeah.
that it's meaningful for us, and so, I actually don't know if the requirement is 80 or 90, I'm positive it's not 100, because she was joking by that point, but that's the reasoning for like, no,
Incentivizing or like.
it's,
really-
and it's built into success class, and anybody that doesn't take it will go get them afterwards, so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we actually talked about that this morning.
Yeah, that was yeah, and I just made a bunch of assumptions, but I'm glad to
Yeah.
ask, because now I know
Yeah.
more about it.
Yeah, and so she must, yeah, it must have just gone to the staff email.
I think so, yeah, the ones that we always get, and so I was like, oh.
I think I
okay.
read one sentence of it, was like, I know what that is, and kept going,
Sure.
so I
Yeah,
actually didn't read it. So.
We have to adjourn.
Adjourn,
yeah.
No.
Shoot, someone
Just
move
stay
on
on the
that.
record till next
I
month.
move that we adjourn.
Yes.
I second.
Okay. Raise the hands, all right.
Almost too tired to do
You're
really
like, yeah,
process.
Who said,
Yeah.
There's a lot of words before a second,
He's
yeah.
just like, I already got quoted in policy.
That's right.
Just don't sell drugs to each other.